turn that light off. Hello, my name is Alan, and today I am facilitating a session of Night's Dark Operators. This is my hack of Cthulhu Dark for play in the world of Night's Black Agents by Ken Hite, a game of combating a vampire conspiracy. It also has some bits and bobs drawn from the Cartel Quick Start and some equipment aspects of Forged in the Dark games. So it's a bit of a Frankenstein's monster. So yeah, as I say, it is a game about combating the vampire conspiracy, but it's a game that's been organized as part of the second Gauntlet Community Open Gaming weekend. If you don't know anything about the Gauntlet, then do please check it out. If you search Gauntlet RPG, you will find us on the internet and find out all about us. We run a significant monthly calendar of online games, mostly at the narrative, story, indie end of the gaming spectrum, but increasingly a range of other games as well. So if you were interested in those kind of games, you might want to come and play with us. And the Open Gaming Weekend is a chance for people who aren't routinely members of the Gauntlet to come and try us out. If you wanted to support the Gauntlet, there is a Patreon, and at a relatively low level, you get access to, I think now approximately bi-monthly zine. But given that the last one was, I think, 90 pages long, zine doesn't really do it justice. That's Codex. You can get it on drive-through if you want to check it out. It also, the Patreon also goes towards supporting a variety of podcasts associated with Gauntlet. So Plus One Forward, the Gauntlet podcast, Fear of the Black Dragon are all supported by Patreon contributions to the Gauntlet. And finally, at a certain level, you would get priority access to join games that we run. And, you know, I think it's great. It's changed my gaming life in the last 18 months. So this game, as I say, is based on Cthulhu Dark with a bit of Night's Black Agents. I've made this mission-based. So the idea is that we have a fairly self-contained operation as player characters make a stand against the vampire conspiracy. They are going to start with a lead today, which is a lead about some nasty goings on near the city of Debrecen in Hungary. The tone of this is meant to be dark and foreboding and to involve quite a bit of horror, conceivably, because we've got the supernatural, we've got vampires, and we've got venal human pawns. So, you know, depending quite how dark will depend on how the players approach it. Their longer term fate is bleak. But, you know, this is a one shot. So, you know, drive your characters like a stolen car. We will, though, be using some safety tools. And I suppose the first of the safety tools is to our millions of viewers. There's a content warning on this. There are aspects of modern slavery in this session. And I would be quite surprised if we didn't get some body horror and or gore. We will therefore be playing with a set of safety tools that the Gauntlet espouses. I suppose the principal one among those is the X card. I will say to the players now, because I've played with one of these players before, but not all of them, that the best way to play the X card is to make the X. I'm not very good at monitoring the chat. The X card is there so that if something comes up in the narrative, comes up in the fiction, that disturbs the players or me, they could say something I want to X card. Disturbs in a bad way. You know, part of me hopes that they will be reasonably disturbed in a good way on occasions. But if it's in a bad way, the X card will just bring a stop to the fiction. I won't ask why they've played the X card. I may ask them how far back in the fiction they want me to go, so I can then play forward, hopefully avoiding the material that's concerned them. My hope is that we won't come across that material that disturbs them unduly, because we're also using safety tools known as lines and veils. Lines are those things that will not come up in the fiction. We will not cross the line for those lines, for those bits of material. And I'd ask the players to check out the lines and veils tab. so far, my starting lines for this game are sexual assault and violence and harm to children. So those are things that I do not want to see in the fiction and will not appear in the fiction. What I would say to the players is, if there's any more of that kind of those example bits of content I put on that tab, or if you want to add some stuff that isn't already there, all you have to do is to put a tick in the line box, and I will check up on those. We're also playing with veils. Veils are things that could come up in the fiction, but if they do, we won't see them on screen. We'll draw a discrete veil across them. And my starting veil, because I'm old and British, is consensual sex. I'm also veiling domestic violence, peril to pregnant women and infants, and torture, either by the PCs or the NPCs. All of those things could go on, but we won't get the detail on screen. And I say to the players, if you want to raise any of those from veil to line, just untick the veil and tick the line instead. The players will also see that I've put some stuff that says interested in the last column. This is not because I am particularly interested in betrayal between PCs, violent conflict between PCs, gore, romance with NPCs or PCs, or body horror. It's just that one of the mechanisms in this game around seek relief from the horror could well mean that two-player characters do end up in a violent confrontation that could have consequences for one of them. So I just want, that's my way, putting that tick in the interested column is my way of saying to the players, this is stuff that could come up. The etiquette here is that if you are going to engage with a move that allows you to seek relief from the horror and reduce your stress, I would just ask you to be sensitive in just making sure that the other player is content to be at the rough end of that stick. And I'd ask you to bear that particularly in mind when the other player is already on 5 stress, because it seems to me it would be very poor form for one of you to tip the other character across the edge and break them and turn them into an NPC without their kind of approval. So that just requires a bit of sensitivity. So that's the core safety rules. We're also playing within the Gauntlet RPG community's code of conduct. I summarize that as don't be a dick. And you know, I'm sure that we won't come to that, but it is just one of those kind of, we are here to have collective enjoyment and not to indulge one another's particular kind of, you know, axes. So if it's fun for all of us, it's fun for all of us. So those are the safety tools we're using. We're also running with an open door. So if something comes up for me or the players, and it means we have to step away from the game, that's fine. You know, stuff happens in real life. Nothing that goes on around this virtual table is more important than what is going on in our lives outside these rooms and places where we are playing. So, you know, if something comes up, don't hesitate. You know, you've got stuff to do, stuff comes up, go do it. Great if you come back. If it happens to me, it's great if I come back. And I certainly don't intend to do anything else. I don't have any fire alarms planned or anything like that. So, you know, but do feel free. If you need to take a break, take a break. I will aim to take a break in about 40 minutes and then another hour after that. Depending on where the plot is, I might oversteer or understeer on that, but I'll try to put breaks in. Okay, so that is the context in which we're playing. What I would like to do now is just to give the players a chance to say hello and to introduce us to their characters. So let me start with Will. I'll go in character keeper order. Will, say hello and tell us something about Harry Blake.
Hello. Well, my name is Will. My pronouns are he, him, as are those of Harry Blake. And Harry Blake is basically James McAvoy from the movie Atomic Blonde without being quite so much of a shit, to put it in other words. He works for MI6. He is a black bagger. He breaks into places. He steals things. He cases joints. He does all that kind of stuff. At some point, he's been betrayed by the vampiric conspiracy that had some sort of hold over his local bureau.
That's great. Let me move along. Nick, say hello and tell us something about Azul. Am I pronouncing Azul right?
Yes. Hello. Yeah, also happy to be here. And Azul has been inspired by someone I met on my travels who had quite a rich story, and I thought I'd do this as a bit of a homage to them. He was part of the Kurdistani militia, and he came to Europe to try and spread the message of, or bring more attention to the crimes and wars out there, and then got caught up with the anarchists in Eastern Europe, just in some way to fight against the system, the system. And whilst there, he made friends with the street workers there, and that's when he first noticed people going missing and first cottoned onto the vampire conspiracy. And he's going to try to use his skills as a typical wet worker, so does the killing jobs to see if he can get to the bottom of it.
Thank you for that, Nick. Nick, would you just remind us what your pronouns are and what Azul's pronouns are, please?
They are he and him.
And I should have said at the start, mine are he, him. Moving along. Callum, say hello and tell us something about Ameer Dmitry Sokolov. Great name.
Hello, I am Callum, he, him, and I will be playing Ameer, Dmitry Sokolov, he, him as well. He's of mixed descent. His mother was Algerian and Berber, to be precise, and his father was a Russian mercenary, and they met and that's where Ameer grew up in a remote, some kind of energy production facility. She was a cleaner, he was a part of the security there, and Ameer has been, how do we say in English, in the jupon of his mother, and following around his father also during their work. And at some point his mother disappeared, and his father got embroiled with the conspiracy. The fate of his mother is uncertain. He's got intermittent contact with his father, and but Ameer managed to leave Algeria and improve his skills, get properly trained in combat, and access the French citizenship through joining the Foreign Legion there. And at some point he would have been noticed, I believe, by whatever organization we're part of.
Well, yeah, just to clarify that, you are freelancers. The only thing that binds you together is your experience, your knowledge of the vampire conspiracy, and you are driven to confront them, or feel you should confront them for reasons that we'll explore in a bit. You are likely to be disowned by those organizations that you used to belong to. I noticed that Harry Blake was MI6. My guess is that MI6 would claim they never knew a Harry Blake, if indeed that is his name. Moving on, Adam, say hello and tell us about Ryan Cartwright.
Hi, I'm Adam, he, him, and Ryan Cartwright is also he, him. I'm sort of viewing Ryan as a very young man, probably the youngest of this bunch. Left school and joined the Royal Navy as early as he could, became a technician, and was working on a intelligence vessel. I'm sorry, the exact words are escaping me, but sort of listing in on foreign communications. When he came across something that was a little bit odd, a little bit out of the ordinary, and immediately flagged it, passed it up the chain of command, and then made the mistake of chasing up on it a few weeks later when nothing had happened. Still never found out what was going on, but very probably got shuffled off to the ends of the earth, and the worst duty station he could possibly imagine. So I had imagined that it was probably one of our other characters that had connected with him at that point. I was thinking possibly Will was the MI6 agent, but
yeah, I think I recruited a bunch of useful people for my one-man war against the thing.
Well, we can talk about that when we talk about who you care about. and what history you might have together. So that's great. That's a very broad and mixed bunch. Let me go back round then, and I want to start asking you about your anchor. Your anchor is the person who you need or want or must protect from the conspiracy. They are, on the one hand, the thing that keeps you grounded and mechanically can help you reduce the stress you encounter. But then they are a vulnerability. Once you make use of them in the game, they become a target for the conspiracy. So let me go back. I'll go back round, same order. Let me start with Will. Tell me about Harry Blake's anchor.
I think Harry Blake's anchor is Kasia, his lover, who is here in Budapest. Is a local that he has fallen for whilst on mission, and she is I think a bartender at one of the clubs run by with what they call the Lisky Bratva, with shady ties. Let's just say with shady ties.
Yeah, leave it at shady. Leave it open.
Yeah,
openly shady, shadily open. Okay, fine. So Kasia is your anchor. You will be able to tell us something about Kasia in the game if you use her as a way to reduce your stress at the moment. Moving along, Nick, tell us about Azul's anchor.
Azul's anchor is Kristalla. She was one of the street workers he met in Greece, who sort of made sense of the world for him. He'd been living in the desert for a while, so nothing really made sense. So she was literally, his anchor. And, it could keep the nightmares at bay when he was having his PTSD nightmares and such.
Is she still working?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then Kaloum, help me with the pronunciation.
It's a made-up name. It's an alias.
Oh,
I adopted. It's a persona for podcasting and so on. But Kaloum is fine. So my anchor. Yes, sorry, my son is yelling. My son is my father, Nazari. He is rather old. He's as I said, he was a mercenary, so he's probably not. He might have some physical difficulties. But either through visiting him in a place where he would be hidden, or through online contact, he's the one who encourages me to perform the mission and find my mother, or at least the people who took her to get to him.
Good, thank you. And finally, Adam, tell me about Ryan Cartwright's anchor.
Take myself off mute first, shall we? I'm thinking Ryan's anchor is his older brother, Stefan, a very successful lawyer, although Ryan isn't sure exactly what he worked on, only that he spends all of his time on the continent, flitting about various cities. Very much loves his brother and wants to protect them, but is also incredibly jealous of his success and would very much like to have something that he can show off and compare with his brother's success, shall we say.
Oh, complex sibling relationships. Great. Right. If you can just put something like that in the, briefly cover that in the Character Keeper, Justin's Aid memoir for all of us, that'd be good. And then I want to go around and find out why you do what you do. So let's start with Harry. Harry, you could have just walked away. Why did you choose to confront the conspiracy?
They burned me.
So it was
they
who...
me.
Okay, so they betrayed you. So though you were employed by MI6, you were a cog in the conspiracy machine.
My handler was part of the conspiracy, and I unknowingly had been working for the conspiracy. But these jobs didn't add up, they didn't square. And when I started I thought he'd been turned by somebody else. But, an internal it goes higher than my handler somewhere within MI6, right? Like there's more. I don't know how deep it goes, but the second I started looking into, I went official with any of this, I was burned so fast that, you know, and now, fuck that, you know, you don't burn Harry Blake.
Okay, and that generates a particular question for your character, for Harry, which is, what would entice you back into the conspiracy fold?
Well, I think if you were to offer Harry Blake the chance of being an immortal, powerful, extremely rich leader of a conspiracy that runs the world, he would probably say, yeah, okay, sure.
So a vampire offering him the chance to change his life would be enough.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that he is open to being bought, but so far they haven't tried to buy him. They've tried to rub him out. And I don't think that simple money would be like whatever, but like, you know, if you're a greedy, self-serving person deep down, surely immortality is a thing that can buy you.
Okay, now this seems to be a polar opposite from Azul. Why did you join? Why did you decide to confront the conspiracy, Azul?
I've always had a love for, you know, my fellow man, and just the human life in general. That's why I fight. So,
because once you found out what they were doing, you simply couldn't walk away, presumably.
Exactly. Yeah, I had to find out exactly what was going on. He's a very confused person as well. So, in trying to make sense of his own life, you know, he sort of stumbles through a lot of this.
Now, your decision to opt for humanity as a reason to confront the conspiracy generates a question that says, what would you sacrifice to stop them then?
Yeah, so I've put my life before my soul, which basically means I would never turn if offered.
Okay, so the offer that they might make to Harry would not work with Azul.
No.
Okay. Then what about Ameer? Why did you choose to confront the conspiracy? I think you've hinted at it, but just fill in the details for us.
Yeah, so my father would come and go towards the end of his career. Well, it was already sort of a retirement plan when he was working as a private security contractor, but he would come and go. And at some point, while he was absent, my mother was kidnapped. It was quite a long time ago. It was before I joined the Legion and so on. And yeah, I found out over years that she was taken by the conspiracy, and it was a way to get at my father. So I'm keep fighting the conspiracy until I feel my father is threatened by it, and until my mother's fate is uncertain. Ameer, it's been a lot of years, so Ameer is pessimistic towards the fate of his mother at this point. If anything, she would be quite old by now. But yeah, he needs to keep the fight.
Because the question is, who was it, and who stops you sacrificing yourself on the altar of revenge? So it is the fear of leaving your father exposed that actually stops you just burning bright and fast here.
Yes.
Spot on. Then Ryan, why did you choose to confront the conspiracy rather than just walking away?
He's curious. He wants to know. First off, just why, and second off, in the few answers he's got, he's intrigued. This world is fascinating, and I sort of put here that he's probably willing to spend a lot of himself, his time, any wealth he can manage to bring together, possibly even risking his freedom in exchange for knowledge. At this stage, he's still young and naive enough to think that he can do this without hurting anyone else.
Right,
because
I noticed there, what would you give up to know more about them, the vamps? And you've talked about time, wealth, and even your freedom, but you would hesitate before risking others. Yeah, so you will not put somebody else on the altar of your quest to know more. That helps me.
Not yet. I suspect it will be the beginning of his slippery slope.
Okay. Now, the other things I'm curious to know is how the relationships in the team work. So again, I'll go back round to Harry. Which member of the team do you care most about? Now, this is care most and care least. It is not care not at all. It is most and least. Yeah. So which member of the team do you care most about, Harry?
I think I care most about Ameer.
Now, between you then, agree between Harry and Ameer the history you share that explains this.
So you were in the Foreign Legion.
Yes.
Wonder if Harry Blake once upon a time served in the military and was posted alongside you or something. Yeah?
Yep.
Some sort of like, because I feel like we've got 3 hard cases and a rookie, basically. So we can draw upon the veteran sort of background. Yeah? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Will, if you would just put something of that ilk, a shared served alongside one another or whatever, that would be helpful. And then I'll move along and ask Azul, which member of the team do you care most about? You are muted, Nick.
Thank you. I was going to say Ameer. Can you have 2 in the same one, or does it make it too complicated?
Absolutely. And just to stress, these relationships do not need to be two-way. Someone can care about you. You can care not at all about them.
Mm-hmm. As for how we might know each other, so Ameer, when you came over from South America, was it South America?
No, North Africa.
Sorry, North Africa. Where did you end up first? Do you know?
So I would have started from Algeria, be trained there in the Foreign Legion, and then I would have been in multiple theaters where France has interest. So it could be Central Africa, can be IC, I think, things like that. I mean, it doesn't even have to be real stuff anywhere where the French government would have interest in supporting an operation, which could be, could be with intelligence officers from other nations like the MI6 or coordinated with other nations. So it could literally be anything: Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya.
True. So I'm trying to think. Sorry.
It's fine.
I mean, yeah, we could have just met in. I'm just trying to think of somewhere in between, basically. Let me look at it.
I think we can justify the French government having dropped, albeit covertly, members of the Legion into almost anywhere you want to be.
True. Yeah. So we could even say just in Syria, where Azul was first, finding his fight. So once in my time in the desert, I could have come across your party. Could have even been captured or maybe arrested, and then in explaining my fight to you, you let me go, possibly something like that.
Oh yeah, maybe it was towards the end of my sort of official military career, so I worked out that it was my Sorry, my son is yelling.
It's really not a problem.
It was
It's not a problem.
It's just disconcentrating me. So yeah, I let you go. So I worked out between the line, or you came clean regarding the conspiracy, and maybe that was the beginning of our team when I let you go somehow.
So I wouldn't have known about the conspiracy then. I learned about the conspiracy in Europe. This was just my fight against the forces. Well, whilst I was fighting in Syria, I'd been against the Syrian government and ISIS and, well, basically everyone. So, yeah.
So you were, okay. Well, I let you go. I mean, we can work out in play more detail about the circumstances if we want.
Yeah.
Long story short, I let you go. My unit captured you, and when the moment came, I was like, I'm going to let you go because I got other stuff to deal with, or I find your fight worthy, or whatever, but we'll work it out.
The more open you leave it, the more you'll be able to fill in when you seek relief from the horror, for instance. So keeping going then, what about Ameer then? Everybody loves Ameer. Who does, because the premise here is that you all know one another. You are not strangers. You conceivably have worked together more than once. You have a history. So, Ameer, who do you care most about?
I'd like to say Harry, with who I don't have. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, I mixed up two characters. So I'd rather connect to someone I'm not connected yet.
That's a very short list.
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan. Yes. So Ryan, Ryan was sort of the rookie. Sorry. I mean, I see myself a lot in Ryan. I don't know what circumstances made it that we came up to work together, but despite the fact that we come from completely different places and walk of lives in terms of origins, he's the rookie, and I hope he won't be as demolished by his experiences as I've been, and as I see the others been. So I see him as less corrupted than the rest of us. So
that's a really nice line. The idea that he's less corrupted than the rest of you. I think that boils it down really nicely. So Ryan, who comes across as this slightly naive rookie, that's what Ameer finds attractive in you. And what does he care?
Innocence.
Yeah, innocence. So, apparent innocence. We'll discover how innocent he is when push comes to shove. So, what about Ryan then? Who does he care most about in this group?
I think probably Harry. If Will agrees, I feel like Harry's probably been keeping an eye out for any assets that he can use. So I feel like a young military personnel who's discovered something of the conspiracy and being burned by it would be the perfect tool to use.
Yeah.
Okay. If you put something like that in the character keeper, that'd be great. And while you're doing that, we'll come all the way back round to Harry and ask the question: which member of the team you care least about?
I think I care least about. No, I think it's Azul actually. And
fuck you too.
Yeah. And I think it is. He's a do-gooder. He thinks he can save the world, and he can't. He's naive. I'm going to say.
Does that work for you, Nick? In terms of
I was going to pick Harry as well, so that works.
Oh well, then so with mirror images here, Harry cares least about Azul because Azul is naive. Azul cares least about Harry. What? Because he's a cynic?
Because he's self-serving and cares only about himself.
Or that is the appearance he creates. Who knows what will happen when push comes to shove? Okay. What about Ameer? Who does Ameer care least about? And let me stress, this isn't care not at all. This is care least.
I would say Harry again. Actually, looking at your anchor, I was tempted to put my father in the same area. So maybe somehow my father is hidden, but is still a regular of the bar where your lover is, Cassia. And I had the opportunity to see you interact with Cassia and on the job interact with other individual. And I just, I mean, I cannot tell the sincerity of your feelings towards Cassia, but he feels that you are a double-crossing, horrible person because
Yeah, I mean,
you're just too deceptive and too good at it. So he doesn't, he will have issues. He trusts you, but he would expect you to be a double-crosser. And he's seen you do stuff which he doesn't find appropriate towards Cassia in his book.
you think so? You think I exploit people, which clearly I do, and but you think I exploit everybody, like even the people I'm supposed to care for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty solid. I think we're getting a three-dimensional picture of all these characters. And finally, Ryan, who do you care least about?
I think Azul. I mean, Amir is kind of looking out for me. Harry brought me right into this. Azul is just really intense, and I'm a little intimidated by his focus on his goals.
Cool. I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. So put that in there so you've got some idea of the starting relationships. Now, a lot of this carries negligible mechanical weight. But if it feels to me that you are running counter to the concepts and the rounded characters you've roughed out now, I may deny you use of your expertise temporarily, just because you're not behaving in character, you know. So the only other thing is I've automatically set your load as light. As we go on, you'll have a chance to top up. The only equipment you start with are false papers in whatever cover identity you're currently. If these could well be cover identities, who knows? Secure personal comms, so you're always in touch with one another, and a bag, unless you say you don't have any of those. I can't see why you would. And then you'll pick other equipment as needed up to your limit. And the boxes below have a drop-down list of some equipment. If there's anything that's not on that list, then you just use the notes section at the bottom and we'll agree stuff about it. And I'll worry about that when you come to select any. You needn't select anything until you say, aha, here is my silenced pistol. Yeah. So all of that in mind, let us turn our attention to the operation. So the operation tab summarizes what you currently know. After an attack on their senior leadership that has prompted a war with the Serbian Nasasvar criminal organization, the Lisky Bratva, which is a Russian mafia organization, is vulnerable. There is a facility somewhere near Debrecen in Hungary where the Bratva are rumored to have a hub for their human trafficking operations. Those operations are important to the conspiracy because they provide both money and victims. And so it provides an opportunity for you to strike at the conspiracy. In terms of the specific details, northeast of Debrecen in Hungary, there is a factory, it's a factory area. And I think that in the faces and places, I've put a kind of a sense of what that factory area is like. So it's, you know, this building and many buildings like it, in the middle of nowhere. It dates from the Soviet era, so it's badly built. It's probably built with loads of asbestos and other stuff in it. But all of that is summarized in my introduction by saying the main road approaches from the southeast, from the city of Debrecen. To the north, there are steep hills. It's surrounded by forests and an industrial wasteland poisoned with toxic effluent of one kind or another. This isn't kind of pools of acid, but it is the reason that no one has developed this area since. You know, no one would get permission to build housing here. And to be honest, there are cheaper ways to build factories now. The building has had windows and doors sealed up and is surrounded by a chain link fence patrolled by armed thugs with guard dogs. So that is the result of your initial recce. The way we now run this is that I ask you if there is a cool thing you want as a PC to be seen doing during this session. And I notice Harry has already said stealing, breaking and entering. Yeah, so Harry wants to be seen stealing and breaking and entering. So if I move down then, what about Azul? Is there something that Azul wants to be seen doing?
Saving the girl.
Does it have to be a girl? But yeah, fine. So saving the innocent victim.
Yeah.
That gives me a bit more scope if I put a girl in and then you blow somebody up.
Yeah.
So saving an innocent victim. Brilliant. That perfect fit with the character concept. Ameer, what about you? What is the cool thing that we want to see Ameer on screen doing?
I want to zip line through a window.
Okay, you want to zip line through a window. We'll see what we can do.
I mean, it could be a door, but you know.
Yeah, through
Right at the end.
zip line into a building. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then finally, what do we want to see Ryan Cartwright doing?
I think Ryan just wants to hack into something, break into a secure computer system and make it look easy.
Okay, put that in the character keeper as my aid memoir. And so now we have an opportunity for you to gather intel. I'm toying with this bit of the game, to be honest. This is an opportunity for you each to have a scene, maybe with a contact, maybe with, you know, just out there in the field, gathering intel on the target. So let me, again, I'll stick to character keeper order because otherwise I'll get confused. So let me start with Harry. What do we see Harry doing in the opening scenes of our pilot episode of this, which is bound to be bought by Netflix as a concept?
18.
Well, you know what? Why don't I go straight for the thing I want to see in this session, and I will. I think here we are. It is a like a big underground car park, or like, you know, tall one with lots of different levels and stuff. And there is Harry's carjacking is into one of the Lisky Bratva's vehicles to put a tracer in there to low jack it effectively.
Okay, just a tracer, or do you want to mic it up?
Yeah, bugs and whatever bugs we
Bug
might
it.
say are whatever bugs are appropriate kind of thing.
So yeah, so you want to bug one of their cars. So okay, so tell me, time of day?
I think this is definitely nighttime, you know, and it's like those long concrete rows of cars, shadows and stark lighting, metal doors at the other end, far distance, you know.
Is this car park, you know, well kept and monitored, or are we seeing some of the, you know, the neons are just flickering?
Yeah, definitely some of the neons are flickering. It's a bit grungy, you know.
Okay. So a basement car park, one of those kind of Soviet era concrete blocks. Okay, so you've spotted the car. What do we see you do?
You see me wait for a guy having a cigarette to wander off on his phone, going down into it, like just playing on his phone, walk off down another corridor, row of cars. And Harry just goes straight up to the car, opens into his jacket and pulls out his tools and begins to work the, break the lock. Probably using some sort of electronic device now on the sort of high-end car that they have.
Okay, well, I think you will find, if you look in your equipment list, you will find breaking and entering kit.
Perfect.
Useful for larceny and intrusion. So this will, if you select that, you'll see that it has a single kind of square next to it, which means that you mark one of the boxes under equipment. The more you carry, the heavier you're loaded, the slower you move. So when you're light loaded, you move quicker than, you know, the average man in the street. When you're at medium loaded, that's fine. Heavy loaded, you will be slow. Yeah. So there's your breaking and entering kit, Harry. Select that. And this means that you have the right tool for this job. So you are rolling the white dice, the orange expertise dice, because you have intrusion expertise, and you are rolling with the right tool. Do you want to include your stress dice?
No, this first roll, no.
Okay. You've got 2 stress marked. I don't know why.
No, I think I just clicked on the box by mistake.
Okay, fine.
I got a 5 on my white dice.
On a 5, and I'll just, for the benefit of the other players, if I refer you to the basic moves, you'll find a move that says do something else, which is not investigate and is not confront the conspiracy. And so on a 4 or 5, you succeed with no obvious complications or benefits. So we see, you know, the boot pops, presumably, and then you slip the tracker or the bug underneath the carpeting near the spare. And then you can, you know, you hear the guy's voice getting closer. What do we see in terms of you then heading out?
Well, I think that as the guys are coming closer, Harry like swears because it's getting close, and he pulls out another key fob from his thing, fumbles through it, and presses another button that sets off a beeping from further down in the, you know, another car unlocks, and they stop for a second, giving him just enough time to close the doors, gently press it shut, you know, so it doesn't make a single noise, and then just like slip, like crawl, like duck down beneath the cars, back through the rows and out and away. And that's, yeah.
And then the goon returns.
Mm-hmm.
So you've set yourself up there to roll, or for someone to roll to investigate and ask me some questions that could lead to intel. So I think I think that you were rolling the white dice. I think because you have a bug in that car, I'm going to give you the right tool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that you have expertise necessarily, but I think that's why I'm putting right tool in, unless you want to make a case to me.
No, I would agree with that entirely.
Okay, so you're rolling the white dice and the grey dice. Do you want to include the stress dice?
Yes, go on then. Why not? Screw it. And a 6 on the stress dice.
Well, what do you know? So with a 6 on the stress dice, we'll now look at the basic move that says investigate. When you investigate someone, something, or somewhere, roll 1d6, blah, 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 add d6s. On a 6, you get the bare minimum, and you can also ask the GM 2 questions. So the bare minimum in respect to this is there is a busload of people arriving in the next 48 hours at the factory, as the guy in the car says that you're picking up, and he says, usual processes. So that's the basic information. You can now ask me 2 questions.
Who's the rival gang that they're fighting? The sorry, it's the
Nasastvar.
The Nasastvar. Are the Nasast? Are there any threats from the Nasastvar? Like, do they have other enemies locally?
The fucking Serbians, as he will refer to them.
Yes.
So sorry, what was the question?
So are they, is the Lisky Bratva dealing with the Nasastvar here as well? Is this a threat is it another factor that we could perhaps exploit or be aware of, kind of thing?
Yes. I think that what you hear him on a telephone talking to someone, and he's saying, yeah, no, if you need to pull some people, then, if we can take them out en route, that's the best solution, isn't it, Yuri? Which
Nice.
Suggests that there might be the resources are being pulled in different directions.
Cool. I have hopefully a great idea with using the contacts with that.
And
Cool.
you get a second question.
Second question. Second question is, is there what about the route that they take to the factory? Is there anything that, of interest or dangerous? You're like, my mind's whatever. Kind of thing.
And he says, no, the usual thing. You take the bus to the car park. It's about 400, 800 meters away from the factory, and come in through the sewer as you usually do.
Cool. Sewer entrance then. Perfect.
Okay. So if you want to put any of that intel into that box on the character sheet, that would on the operation tab, just as an aid memoir for what you know about, that's fine. Let me move to Azul. In terms of gathering intel before the op, what might we see Azul doing?
Walking around the closest thing you could call civilization to these factories, walking around the pubs just trying to muscle some information out of people, being quite heavy-handed, trying to find out people who might work there, seeing if that could be a way in for me. So,
okay, let's say that because nobody lives out this way kind of by choice. There's probably a village halfway between the edge of the city and this site where people live there because they've always lived there, and there's a bar. And what is it that tells you that this bar barely gets by?
Sorry, what is it that tells me that the bar barely gets
by? That whoever runs it is probably operating on a loss and on a loan. What do we the audience see that keys us into this seedy location?
I mean, it's half empty, I'd say, with just people doing business in the corners, and that's about it.
And people kind of spending a lot of time over a 2/3 drunk drink.
Not a lot of time at the bar.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you go to the barman? Do you sit in the corner and look for targets? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I go to the barman. He tells me nothing, so I sit in the corner.
You don't know that. You could put the arm on him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know he's hiding something.
Well, shall we find out? So what do we see on screen? So he's kind of saying, who the fuck are you tourists?
I'm saying, people got a drink. I know someone from that factory who comes in here. Tell me what you know.
And he says, I don't know, nothing.
I ask him one more time. I don't want to... Yeah, I ask him one more time.
What do you mean? It's just it's just there's nothing out there. It's just deserted.
I grab him around the collar and I slam his head onto the table.
Boom. Yeah. Okay. I think that counts as investigating with intimidation.
Yes.
I would suggest to you. So that you're rolling the white dice and the orange dice. Would you like to include the stress dice?
Not yet. I've not used this tool before, so do I just click on it, or do I press 5 and 3?
So if I direct you to the white dice, if you click on the white dice, it'll be surrounded by a red surround. Yeah. Then if you click on the orange dice, it'll also be surrounded by red.
Yeah.
And so what you've done is to select both those dice. If you want to roll a stress dice as well,
I will.
then click on so once you've highlighted the ones you're interested in red, you'll see there's a green re-roll selected button.
Okay. Yep,
hit that,
click on that,
and it should change for you, even if it doesn't change for us.
I got a 3 on the white and a 1 on the expertise.
Okay, so that's that's interesting. So on a 1 to 3 with investigate, you get the bare minimum of information you need, but also mark the heat clock. Now, I have not talked to you about the heat clock. You'll find this top left of the characters tab. Currently, I have marked all the suspicious boxes because the Lisky Bratva, to be honest, having had its leader blown up in a hotel meeting in a previous episode of this series, is suspicious. So I'm now going to operate the first of the alarmed boxes, which means the conspiracy are certain there are dangerous operators working against them, even if they are not certain which ones. Their pawns will be even more paranoid than usual, so expect the GM to confront the PCs, blah, blah, blah. And that will carry on until all three of those are marked and we get into the, we know who they are, get them, pursuit mode, yeah? So the clock
I think
is
you
ticking.
put it up on Harry's. Sorry.
No, hang on. No, if you go further left than Harry, you'll find, yeah?
Yes, got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the basic information you get is when he comes up and his nose is streaming, the basic information you get is that they don't employ anyone in the fucking village. They're professionals, those people. You don't mess with them. Yeah. But I think probably as you leave the bar, we see him making a phone call, which is why the heat clock has gone up. Yeah. There was a guy in asking serious questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I grab a bottle from the bar before I leave. Of spirits.
No one gets in your way. No one, because you have established your credentials in this village as a hard bastard. No, I think Harry's increased his stress by 1 because he rolled a 6 earlier on.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah.
But I didn't ask him what it was that that pushed him over the edge in terms of stress. What did you hear?
I think I heard them talking about disposing of bodies.
Yeah, fine. And how for Harry, how does an increase in stress manifest?
I think he gets closer to being jumpy rather than just alert. You know, like 'cause he's always got one eye on the door. He's always alert, but like he's slightly, you know, the more stressed he gets, the more that kind of becomes a noticeable character trait.
Okay, I've put jumpy into the manifest as. Okay. What I'm going to suggest is that we take our first break now, because I think Azul, you know, having to go at a bartender and we get a bit of violence just before the commercial break. I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah. It's 16 minutes past the hour now. Could we be back in our seats at 25 past the hour?
Sure.
Okay, I'll see you then. Okay, we're back from our break, and we broke during the phase of gathering intelligence. So I'm going to come. I think I'm going to come to Ryan next. Ryan, what do we see you doing to try and build up a picture of the kind of opposition you're going to face or the circumstances of the op?
Right. I think Ryan is going to try and find, because this is a very isolated area from what I understand.
Yeah.
Cool. Ryan's going to try and find the nearest cell tower. Possibly with help from his allies, he's going to sort himself out a white van, stick a telecommunications logo on the side of it, and park it next to the cell tower, and then he's going to tap into it.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to engage, I think, with the contacts bit of this. So okay. If you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a bit that says contact and their pronouns and location. And then expertise. Now, it could be, I mean, there's a range of possibilities down there. But this sounds like a wheel artist who is going to provide you with the necessary stuff, or conceivably, depending on where you got it from, a criminal. So who is what expertise is your contact bringing to the table here?
Yeah, I think probably someone criminal. I think probably someone's just boosted a plain white van, or in fact, even someone from the telecommunications company.
Yeah, why aim low?
Let's say it is actually a technician who Ryan bumped into, which is what gave him this idea, playing cards, and he bet far too much, and this is Ryan calling in his marker.
Okay, right. So what's his name? What's a good Hungarian name?
I have no idea. What's a good Hungarian name?
Jacob Henrik, apparently, or
Jacob Henrik? Sure.
Yeah.
Let's just call him Jacob. He probably doesn't want you to know his second name. And so Jacob is in play, and is someone who and you can call on a contact once for free in this game. So I'm just going to mark that you have taken advantage of that, Ameer, Ryan. Sorry, and so Jacob has the van, he has the equipment, he has the map of where the towers are.
Yep.
What do you want him to do?
I'd like the van completely set up, and then for him to take the afternoon off.
That's not a problem. And then we're done. We're done. That's and this stays between you and me.
Yep, absolutely. I don't want him knowing anything of what I'm doing, so he can't rat me out. And he probably just wants this marker cleared with no questions asked.
Okay, so what do you do with your telecoms van then?
So with the data and the knowledge I've got, I'm going to find the cell tower that serves that area, and I am going to tap it. Basically, all the information going through that tower, I would like to be able to access.
And normally, I might now require us to go back to the safe house and decide that you have tech toys to do this with. But because you have the Hungarian telecom company's equipment, you don't need to use the stuff in the safe house for this. You simply use the local equipment and tie it into your own phone. So I think that's not at all a problem. So this sounds like a combination of digital intrusion and engineering tech, both of which is in your expertise. So you are currently rolling with the white dice, the orange dice, and I think you have all the tools in the world. So you're rolling with the 3 dice. But I will still ask you if you'd like to add a 4th dice, the stress dice.
I think at this point I'll take the chance and leave the stress dice on the table.
So click on each of those so they highlight, and then there's a green reroll selected button.
Oh, wow. I rolled a 3 on expertise, a 3 on normal, and a 2 on the right tool.
Well, didn't that go well? So certainly your stress goes up by 1.
Okay.
But I'm curious what it is that you pick up when you tune into the local network that gives you, puts the willies up you. What do you hear when you first monitor the mobile calls around that factory that scares you shitless?
I think I literally, to start off with, I just tap into a single call to make sure that it's working properly. And it just happens to be them calling out and reporting that everything's ready for the arrival today. And no details on what the arrival is. That spooks me. It's like, oh, something's going down. We're on a time clock now. This is suddenly a lot more pressure.
And I think that describing it as the arrival doesn't sound like it's a delivery. You know, this is an arrival.
Sounds quite ominous, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So your stress goes up by 1, but as well as all of that, you get to ask me 2 questions. Or I'll allow you to reserve those 2 questions for when the op starts, when knowing what somebody's saying on the phone might be helpful. I don't know. It's up to you.
I think I will use one of the questions now.
Okay.
And tell me if this is stretching what I'm doing too far. But I'd like to use the cell tower, if I can, to get a read on how many cell phones are within the backyard area.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that you will pick up high teens, low 20s.
High teens, cool.
Yeah. So what I'll just add to the intel is something in the kind of 18 to 24 cell phones on site. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But one question remains.
I think I'll hang on to the other question until we need it later.
Okay, that's fine. Let me then go back to Ameer. How is Ameer going to try to just build up a picture of your target?
So the scene is sort of not a big thing at all, but a small rave in some kind of abandoned bunker, and the people having a party there are clearly some collection of thugs and a few local women they found. One of them has his cell phone ring. He looks at it, but the reception is bad because he's in a bunker. So he goes out to listen on his phone, and he takes the call, and there's no one answering. You see a shot of Ryan actually turning off his own phone. The guy is like says a few things in some East European language, like well, whatever. And he turns to the side of the bunker wall to start to take a piss. And as he's pissing, a hand grabs him and smashes him against the side of the disaffected bunker. The guy is complaining that he's pissing himself and so on. And it's Ameer with a arm lock holding him and telling him in Russian to tell him all he knows about his job at NASA with the Serbians.
Okay, just so I'm clear, is he a member of is he the Serbians or is he the Russians?
I would say he's one of the 18 to 24 cell phones on the site, and they would have gone out to distract themselves, and yeah, thanks to Ryan, we isolated one, which I pitched.
Okay, I think that I think given the setup, I'm going to give you expertise on this. Your expertise is investigation rather than intimidate, but I think given the circumstances, I'll let you go with expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Yeah. Yep.
Roll.
So
green,
the white
and orange.
The white, orange, and the stress also, the green?
And the stress dice.
Okay. And I reroll selected. Okay, so it's a 6 stress, 3 expertise, and 3 white.
Well, we know your stress is going to go up by 1, but you get to ask me 2 questions, or ask him 2 questions that he will answer honestly to the best of his ability.
Okay. My question will be, I will ask him about my question is, what are the passwords to grow through the security guards? Or a more general one, what's the security process like?
Okay.
And I'd like to keep my second question for later.
Okay. Then let's answer that by saying that the tunnel in is part of an old, the old sewers that ran underneath this network of factories, and it's a regularly refreshed key card, not key card, PIN code.
Okay.
But it gets renewed just before any delivery.
Okay.
So he can give you a number now, but it won't be valid tomorrow.
Okay. So what Ameer will do is grab his cell phone and feed him all the drugs he had on himself, and he will terminate him like that.
So it looks like a drugs overdose.
Yeah,
Now, and where did these drugs come from?
They would have been on him.
Oh, so they're his own drugs.
Well, yeah, or okay, I would have it, so have them as a cover up. That's something I would have on me.
So are you using your free call on a contact to make sure that you have a supply of drugs?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tick the box on the operation sheet that says you've used your free call on a contact.
Okay.
And presumably this is another criminal contact.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm looking in the list. Oh no, that's a type. Oh yeah, no, I was not in contact. Oh, someone put Jacob in. So yeah, so the expertise would be criminal. They can provide stuff, and I will go for. Let me fetch another Hungarian name.
Thank you, Will, for sourcing us an online Hungarian name generator.
Oh, I got mine. Okay. Okay, I got a name. So it will be Carolina, my contact. Carolina Svilja Petox.
And they've supplied you with some drugs. They're a criminal. They're a drug pusher. Fine in Debrecen. Okay, so you again make a note in the operations tab of what you found out, and that you have one question that you could keep as a flashback. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we now have our initial intelligence gathered. This might be the time to decide precisely what the objective is. Yeah. The objective needs to be phrased in a way that it's absolutely clear, yes or no, whether you achieved it. So what are you actually aiming to achieve during this operation?
Free the kidnapped people.
So
the best load of people.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I think Ameer would certainly be interested in. How do the rest of you feel about that?
Where are the people going? It's human trafficking. They're vampires. We know that there are vampires, right? Like we have enough of us. We may not know the full specifics, but we're all well aware of the rough basics sort of thing. So Harry wants to find, who does this feed ultimately at the end of the day? Like, where does it link to? Kind of like, let's find a target from here.
I think that what the way that would play would be that would be the lead that you would get by the end of this session that
Yeah.
would lead into the next operation, because
Yeah.
then you'd have a target. So
So
you're
the
going to
head
get a
vampire.
lead.
Hmm.
But it is what that will be a happy bonus. But is that the only objective? I suppose. You know,
I mean,
the
I think
name
that
of a
could also be
vampire.
connected to just so links to both of those, just destroying the operation, making sure the operation is no longer operating, and if that means finding the head vampire and killing them, if there is one, and also freeing the people that are trapped, are caught, or is that too broad?
No, I think that taking out this hub, but it sounds like without killing the victims.
No.
Yes.
And they would seem that if it ties in, maybe I suspect that my mother or the person running the operation was involved with the kidnapping of my mother. So I hope to close that loop finally.
Yeah, and I think that might very well be something that could crop up. But that's a personal objective, not an objective for the team operation. So what I'm going to write down, unless you tell me not, is take out the hub without harming the victims. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that is what would count as success. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do kind of. I was thinking about like making it look as though it's the Serbians, but I think that's again just a thing to do within this objective.
That would be a happy bonus.
Yeah.
If the heat went somewhere else, wouldn't it? Yeah. But in terms of if we get this done, this is what will happen. They will no longer be able to use this hub to traffic people for blood and money. Seems a noble aim.
Yeah.
This is how I got everybody else to do this, because I've sold it to them on that exact basis. It's a noble quest. We're going to save people. Like,
yeah. And everyone who looks into Harry's eyes believes him implicitly. Yeah, exactly. So that's your objective. Fine. Two of you have still got a free call on a contact to use. If you can call on a contact at any other time, but it will cost you a point of stress to do so. Yeah. And we've got a couple of questions that still in circulation. Okay. So with that in mind, then, what I want to do now is to run down the obstacles you think you are going to encounter. And this part of the setup is an opportunity for you to define an obstacle, which presumably you would like to be the person who's in the spotlight taking down, and that might involve, for instance, smashing through a window on a zip line. But who knows? So let me start with Harry Blake. Based on what you know so far, Harry, what do you think one of the obstacles might be?
I think one of the obstacles is, based on that phone call, we know that they have, the men deployed here can be called out to like help with the. So I think that they've got, a lot of guys, like the 20 that we spoke about, that are heavily armed, and vehicles to move them in. So they're on. It's it's a lot of people to deal with, basically. Like.
Okay, so you're going to have to get past a significant number of people, or find a way to reduce the number of people. Okay. What about Azul? Based on what you know so far and what you want to be seen doing, Azul, what obstacle might you face?
I mean, he's a very direct man. He's not well, trained or anything. He's very.
I think the audience got that message in the bar.
Yeah. So his obstacle is going to be getting in. That's very plain one for him. Just the security of the place, like how he actually gets in, because he's still not really figured that out.
Well, I mean, what we know so far is the windows and doors are sealed up, and it's surrounded by a chain link fence. We know that there are plenty of goons on site with guard dogs. So is there a specific obstacle that you can see Azul, you know, attacking?
I want to say the fence, as in literally to break in, so that.
Okay.
I mean, he's good enough. He's got enough survival instincts and fighting in the desert and like training to be quiet about it.
So
try and remain
simply
protected.
getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then Ameer, what obstacle are you imagining we're going to see?
I think, you know, there's this sewer tunnel which goes into the facility, but it opens up on a large reservoir, which is quite a big chasm, which you need to cross on a footbridge, which is retracted for preventing the people from escaping. And yeah, I don't know how you could cross that. No idea at all.
Okay, so there's a chasm to cross. ... Because it turns out that
the water from the sewer is falling into.
Yeah, there's a chasm to cross. There's a waterfall under there too.
And a retractable footbridge.
I have in mind a cage on a kind of spindle that they use to get across. And I think that what we're just gonna retrofit this sewer system to actually, it is a sewer system, but it connects to a cave complex that used to be a mine. And then we got all kinds of options for
sort of like water treatment plant old thing going into the water.
Yeah. All kinds of stuff going on down there. Okay. So I'm just going to add old mine workings ... Okay. And finally, Ryan, what obstacle do you think we're going to face?
I feel like we're still only operating on half the information we need. I think Ryan needs to get to a computer on site and find out exactly what's going on.
So one of the problems, obstacles, is we don't really know enough ... Yeah.
I don't know if it's Mac OS or Windows Vista still in there.
Exactly. We don't know what the arrival is. Like, could be a dozen vampires coming to check the situation out. Just reminding me.
Okay. I'm right. Let me start with now I get to nominate an obstacle or two, and I'd like to know the supernatural in this game are called freaks. So, do you want a freak on site?
I think there needs to be a.
It would seem in a one shot, a particularly poor one shot, if there was not a freak on site.
Mm-hmm.
The arrival ... Yeah, okay. I will reserve my second one for, you know, a happy surprise. And we'll worry about exfiltration when the time comes. So we have a clear objective. We are pretty clear about some of the obvious or less obvious obstacles you're going to face. Let us cut to starting the operation. But first of all, let's go to the safe house. Because I think this is the point where you now know enough about the operation to make some decisions about the safe house. So can I begin by asking Ameer, describe this place. What is your safe house like, Ameer?
I think it's actually somewhat classy in the sense of it's derelict and abandoned, but it was a theater of some kind. So you still have paintings which are worn out, and you know the paint is falling from the walls. But the paintings are really like I'm not sure it's the right term, but sort of constructivist Russian things. So it was a Soviet community theater, but it's been abandoned. It's not financed anymore because in a more capitalist society, there's no money in profit in running this place. You're muted.
Thank you. Classier than you might expect, even though an abandoned theatre, which used to be quite grand, very red and gold and peeling, and square-jawed workers.
Yeah, grand, but of the people, you know.
Yeah. A people's theatre. Okay. Let me ask, because I think Azul is the one who might be interested in this. Who is vulnerable nearby? So if the conspiracy came after it, where's the potential risk to, others?
So if it's going to spread from this area in Hungary, in
Debrecen.
I mean, it'll just be, I imagine it, the most vulnerable first, basically. So the village closest, probably next, and it'll just spread out like a spider web. So
let me be a bit clearer. Given that you're in the safe house, this abandoned theatre, who would be vulnerable if the conspiracy attacked it?
Oh, right, sorry. So it's an abandoned theatre, so there's no workers.
Oh, that's not to say that it's not in a working class district. The district may not be abandoned.
Oh, I see.
Just the government no longer funds this relic of a Soviet past.
Yeah, so abandoned theatre in rundown part of towns. Yeah, very industrious. So the homeless, the street workers, the everyone that's basically out at night and trying to earn a living, the broken working class.
Okay, I've had a go at that. If that doesn't quite fit with what you had in mind, edit it. Let me come to Ryan, because I think Ryan is our relatively naive, relatively rookie. What reassures you about this place as a safe house, Ryan? You are muted.
Unmute. I like the fact that it not only has a large loading area out the back, but 3 different entrances. It'd be difficult to stop us from bunking out if the worst came.
Muted.
It wouldn't be a game of mine if I wasn't muted at least twice. What worries you about this place, Harry?
What worries me about this place is if it goes hot, no one's gonna, then they can do what they like. Like no one's, the police, the army, whoever comes, the nearest authority figures aren't gonna have to be directed away by the conspiracy. They're just not gonna come anyways. Like,
Okay.
it's the opposite of, hiding in plain sight kind of thing.
Yeah. So you're on your own. Yeah, there's no calling for help here. Fine. Okay. Now then, we come to the safe house benefit. As I think I said, there are the 3 categories of benefit. Is this a source of automatic weapons? So what I'm saying is, if you want to have automatic weapons, either you make it a benefit of the safe house, or you are prepared to flashback at the time when you need that automatic weapon and spend stress or your free flashback to get them. Because at the minute, the only weapon that you are equipped with, that you can always have a silenced pistol. So you can always call on that. But if you want, you either have it in the safe house or you will spend to get it from a contact. The other one is heavy weapons. So anything with a heavy tag, explosives, rocket propelled grenades, that kind of stuff. Or tech toys, which is my category of anything, that would allow us to spend conceivably some special effects budget. I don't know.
James Bond's stuff basically is the tech.
Well, I did allow, video glasses on Tuesday night, so I can't deny you that option.
So it's automatic, heavy, and tech. Okay.
I think whatever we have is, we are on the stage of the theater, and we use the ropes, and it lowers what would be a backdrop for a scene, but instead of a backdrop, it's a rack with all the gadgets or all the weapons attached.
No, love it. The question is, what does the audience see when this comes down out of the gods?
I think we're going in. Our aim is to clear this place out, right? That sounds like a heavy thing to me.
Without killing victims.
Yes, but
just want to throw that in.
But something like so heavy would be things like a heavy machine gun and stuff as well, wouldn't it? And
well, let me just if I go to the equipment. So
automated for sure, stuff like tactical interventions, MP5.
Yeah.
Automatic.
So automatics, anything with a kind of a weapon with an area effect. So stuff like assault rifles, a compact SMG. What else? And then heavy weapons would be a squad assault weapon, a kind of heavy machine gun, explosives. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Maybe we go for the SWAT team then. Yeah, the assault weapons. How does that sound?
Automatic weapons. Just to make that clear, that for Ryan, then, if he wants to start doing exotic stuff with drones, that is going to cost him a meeting with a contact, a flashback. Yeah. So any weapon that's an area effect, anything, weapons short of those with a heavy tag are in play. Yeah.
Okay.
So as we're equipping in the safe house, the other thing I need you to do now is, so far, if you go down to the load bit, I've just ticked light, because up until now it hasn't mattered. What I now need to know is, how heavily loaded are you going to be? Are you going to be heavy loaded, which means that you're slow? And to be honest, if somebody stops you, there's no point trying to convince them that you're doing anything that isn't, violent and heavily armed. If you're light loaded, you can pass as civilians. Medium loaded, somewhere between the two.
We don't need to actually choose the specific equipment yet, though, do we?
Just the amount that you're carrying.
I think Ryan will go medium then.
Okay. So that gives, in Ryan's example, 5 equipment boxes to fill. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as I haven't put my contact yet, and say I wanted something like explosives,
yeah,
could I just say that my contact is?
You can certainly do that.
Right. Okay.
What I would suggest is that you don't need to do that till you get into the operation and decide, now is the time when I would need the explosives. And so we then flash back to the meeting with the contact, and there they are in your rucksack.
Cool. Just making that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Cool.
looking at Azul is medium loaded.
Yeah, he wants to have things on him, but yeah, still be agile.
And I notice, Azul, that you are packing some alcohol already.
Yes, I took that from the bar.
Fine. Well, that will take up one of your equipment boxes.
So if I have plans for that later, like for example, a Molotov or something, that's also further down.
Well, then don't select it now.
Right.
You know, keep it as something you could have. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's labeled seek relief because one of the ways to seek relief is to get rat-arsed on the op.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll leave it for you for now then.
Okay. And similarly, for Ameer, he needn't select any of that stuff until he pulls it out of his bag. Yeah. I mean, I get that you're thinking through how much load would I need to have in order to do X, Y, and Z. For what it's worth, Ameer, I think I would count the zip line, you know, that thing in your rucksack. I'm not sure we have anything like that in the equipment list. That isn't probably something like engineering tech. Yeah, so there's a tools at the bottom of the equipment list. I think that's probably what a carry your own zip line looks like. Yeah, just so you've got some idea, that's going to take 2 equipment boxes when the time comes. There's no if, when the time comes. So here we are then. You have, you know, we see you stuffing stuff into bags and rucksacks. We don't know what it is yet, but we've seen this very impressive tool of, you know, black ceramic automatic weapons. And so I think we will cut to the tree line overlooking the factory. Yeah. Let's have snow. Yes.
Have snow.
Let's have snow. And for that to be effective, is this day or night? Because I need to adjust my lighting to fit.
A foggy day.
Oh, fog.
Yeah.
Right.
Skyless day.
Is it literally foggy, or is there quite a blizzard of snow coming in?
Oh, is it a bit blizzardy? I kind of like that.
A little bit gusty. We'll say a little from column A, a little from column B.
Yeah.
So it obscures vision when it's dramatically important.
Exactly. Yeah.
That vision is obscured. Yeah, because foggy, it's kind of foggy.
You can still have a exposition shot which shows the landscape and the unit. It's not like just
the low fog.
This is not a one-person shooter. This is very much a grand Jason Bourne movie we're making here.
Exactly,
folks. You know, let's not aim low. So I think probably, yeah, we will get an opener here for the operation, where you know, the screen is full of this blizzarding snow, and it comes in low. The drone that we're using comes in low over the factory. We see the factory obscured, the windows all you know, black, you know, painted zinc or something has been sealed up the windows. Maybe we just see out of the corner of our eye a couple of guys in parkas with guard dogs packing, you know, nice compact submachine guns. And then the drone swoops out from that towards a tree line that emerges. And it's there that we see you looking down on the factory, and we spin round to get the view that you've got as of course, the blizzard clears for a moment to give you a perfect view. Okay, let's start with Ryan. Ryan, you've got a view of the factory in the middle distance. You've got a view of a car park closer between you and the factory. This car park, I think we will see a bus pulling up. And it looks like people being herded off the bus towards what looks to be a kind of bunker, a concrete bunker nearby. Ryan, what do we see you doing?
You see Ryan pulling his tablet out and checking that he's fixed and it's still on the cell tower.
And because this is, you know, Mission Impossible meets Jason Bourne, the Vampire Hunter, we will look over your shoulder at the tablet. And of course, you have a pretty good cross-reference for where these live mobiles are. So it's not quite as good as the CIA's satellite heat res, but it is a pretty good idea of, so you can see people, cell phones moving around the perimeter. You can see some inside, but maybe it's a bit sketchier inside because of the old metal building. Yeah?
Yep, cool. And then I'm going to... actually, I'll probably look at the rest, and I'm in a support role here. I'm going to wait for them to kick things off.
So you've drawn their attention to the current disposition of the opposition. You're picking up a couple of cell phones by the bus, the two armed men who are shepherding people off, maybe 3 cell phones, the driver as well. Let me go to Ameer. I think you're the closest we have to a serving soldier. You have fieldcraft, which is everything a soldier might be able to do that isn't covered anywhere else.
So we see the bus stopped, and so the bus does not enter the facility actually.
No, I think we picked up from an overheard a bugged phone call in a Bratva car that Harry got, that the deliveries arrive at this car park and enter through the sewer stroke mine complex beneath the site.
Okay.
Would seem to be the entrance to that, would it?
Yeah. They are certainly being herded towards that bunker. Well, it's a kind of stunted brick block that as they go in, they're not coming back out, and it doesn't seem like it's big enough to take the 20 or 30 people that are being herded in.
Okay, so I think the shot is the bus driver having a conversation, throwing a cigarette and getting inside the bus to start its engine and go away. And as it starts moving, the shot moves from the driver to the bottom of the bus, and you see Ameer untying, I don't know what we call that, but his attachments. So he's on his back under the bus, and the bus just leaving Ameer, who rolls and hides behind the back of a large rock.
That is too cool not to be a fieldcraft roll. So this is, you're rolling the white dice, you're rolling with expertise. Do you want to include the stress dice?
So remind me what it entails, the stress dice.
Okay, so if you put the stress dice in, it just increases the size of your dice pool and the chance of rolling a high number increases. Mm-hmm. If the stress dice is equal to or higher than the other dice, your stress will go up by 1.
I go without the stress.
Okay. Because you need to know that if the worst comes to the worst, Azul has a bottle of booze to just, relax.
Okay. I just re-rolled. So I got a 4 on expertise and a 6 on the white die.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Okay. So that is success. That's, brilliant success. And on do something else, on a 6, you succeed brilliantly. The GM will agree with you what extra benefit you get.
I think I'm located in a place which allows me to give an opportunity to somebody else to enter. Maybe I got access to a lever or something, but I can do something to enable another player to do something.
Okay, so in fact, we see you roll away from the bus as it drives away, and actually you are next to the way that the last, that the goon is going in to this brick concrete block building, yeah?
Mhm.
And inside, you can hear he's pulling on a lever that is going to close this metal door, slide the metal door behind him. And I think, therefore, what we see is you quietly slide a brick so the door can't be properly closed, yeah, without him noticing. Because he just pushes the lever and you hear the clatter of them going down some metal gantry set of steps, yeah? But you did roll a 6, yeah? So on a 6, say what reminds you of the horror of the war you're waging.
Ah, as I'm doing that, I got a view of the group of people they're leading away from the bus. There are a couple people falling and someone going to help them out, and the guards, the goons around them, kicked them and hit them with the back of their assault weapons, and insult them to continue.
Right.
And the people look extremely feeble and victimized in that situation.
Brutalized even.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a reminder of just what a good cause you are fighting for and how shitty the opposition is. But it is a slightly unpleasant view. So would you roll for stress, please? What this means is that you take the stress dice and you roll it. And if it is higher than your current stress, your stress will go up. What did you roll?
I was muted. I rolled a 4 and my stress was at 1, so that means
stress
I go
increases.
to 2.
And how does Ameer? How do the audience know that Ameer is stressed?
He reaches into the one of the many pockets of his tactical vest and pulls out a pendant, which he opens, reveals a picture of his mother. He kisses it and puts it back in his jacket.
Okay, if you would just, where it says manifest as, if you would just remind me the pendant or his mother's picture or something like that. Just and I should have asked Ryan when his stress went up. How does stress manifest for Ryan?
Ryan starts talking more and more, including to himself if no one else is around.
So
he gets very chatty and nervous.
Okay, so put talkative in that slot then. I think that would do nicely. Okay, so we know what Ameer has done. I think I'm going to go to Azul next. Ameer has got down there, emerged. Probably, we start with him hiding under some kind of camouflaged poncho, and now he's almost invisible at the side of this building. What's Azul going to be doing?
Azul keeping his distance, keeping hidden. He's not got these the skills lent to Ameer, and he's watching the guards. He sees them as a way in. He's not sure how, but he's monitoring them, and he's looking for anything he can that will help him to his advantage. Either it's someone going away for a toilet break, someone when the shift changes, or even, I don't know, a weak cough, a weak leg, something that he can use to his advantage.
So just so I'm clear then, Ameer is looking at the way down to the underground access. Mm-hmm. Azul is checking out the chain link fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then that sounds like investigate to me, so you could ask me some questions about rotors and stuff like that. Now, you have larceny as expertise, and, you know, in your time, Azul, you have broken into some places.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that you have expertise. Will you include the stress dice to roll 3 dice, or will you just go with the white and the orange?
I think I will. I'll include it.
Okay, so select them and re-roll selected.
Oof. I got 6 on the white, 4 on the orange, and 4 on the stress.
Well, that is about the perfect response, isn't it?
Oh.
Because what we have then is a brilliant success. So you get what you need to. So I will tell you that there is a blind spot in the cameras that surveil the space between the chain link and the factory. That's for nothing. And you can ask me 2 more questions about the situation. So, you know, the patrols, the guard dogs, whatever you want to ask about.
Yeah, so from past the fence to the immediate, well, what's the distance, terrain, other things? Is there a patrol going around between the fence and the building, basically?
Yes, there is. The chain link is patrolled by these armed guards with dogs. You know that. What I can tell you is that as well as
the inside or the outside. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. They're inside the chain link.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So they're between the chain link and the building. And I can tell you that as well as a blind spot in the cameras, they're not that well drilled, and so there are gaps in the patrol. There are that blind spot. As you see them wandering round, it does feel like they're wandering rather than operating to a strict time. But there is a time when patrol, the pair of them and the dogs, disappear around that corner of the building before that patrol and the dogs appear around that corner of the building. Yeah. Cool. So it's if you time it right, it's a blind spot for the patrols and the cameras. You have 1 question left. I think all I've told you so far is that it appears that the windows and doors of the factory building itself have been kind of nailed up. But if you want any more specifics about that, feel free to ask.
Is anything left open?
There is 1 small door, which you see when the patrols change, when the goons kind of go off shift. There is a small door in the side of the factory that appears to be the only way in or out.
Excellent.
Other than what we presume are the underground access.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Let me go then to Harry.
So I think Harry will crouch down next to Azul and say, "You think Ameer's in yet?"
He should be.
Remember, you do have comms.
Yeah, but you know. Then I'm gonna say, right then. Well, I guess it's time to get the party started. And I press send on my phone, and we flash back to my contact in the Serbian mafia, Brajko, who I am helping set up an ambush on the Lisky Bratva when they head out, effectively.
Okay, so is this suggesting that we see a couple of black cars? Well, you tell me. Well, first of all, tell me about the expertise of your contact.
Well, he is, I think, what would that be? Criminal, I guess. Because he's
Well,
a
it could
rival
be.
criminal gang or a wet
Well,
worker. A
well,
wet worker, I think.
there's a bang and burner. They blow stuff up for you.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking of actually is that the Serbian guys want to kill the Lisky Bratva guys as well, right? And they've got squads in the area. What I'm doing is that they're going to start a small fight, and then I'm just going to tell them that exactly where these reinforcements are coming from.
Okay.
Because Ryan here's got access to their mobile phone signals as
He
well.
does
So
indeed.
He can
He
just,
does indeed.
you know, it's you win, I win, we get rid of a bunch of bad people, we all walk away happy.
Okay, so yeah, that does sound like a criminal Serbian. So add him to your list of contacts, and so what I think I'm seeing is, or Azul will see this, and Harry will see this, when shortly after that telephone, you make that telephone call. There are a couple of 4x4s or pickups, I guess, parked outside the factory, and perhaps 8 or 10 guys emerge from the factory through the door we've just discussed, pile into the pickup, and head to the gate in the chain link, and roar off into the distance. Yeah. And that will show up on Ryan's tablet as showing a significant number of the on-site guards have just left the building. Yeah. And that was your freebie. That was your free contact. So I've marked that up on the operations tab. Let's go round again. Ryan, it looks like the team is split in two here. We have Azul and Harry at the chain link. We have Ameer at the entrance to the underground access. Where is Ryan?
I think Ryan's probably just hanging back a little bit behind Harry and Azul.
Fine.
Ready to follow them in when they make an entrance, but obviously not going to be front lining it.
No, so he's with the chain link party, not the mine entrance party. So Ameer, let me go to you then, because as Harry just said, T+5, he should be in now. So what do we see Ameer doing when these people have disappeared down into the bowels of the earth? You know that the chain link party are all set. What do we see Ameer doing?
Sorry, could you explain to me what exactly is a chain link?
Oh, sorry, it's a wire fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they haven't gone through the fence yet, have they?
No.
Okay, right.
Well, I think the aim is for them to go through the fence at the same time that you go down the bottom. But, so I'm coming to you first.
Okay. I think Amir's going to make his way discreetly to a guard post. And once he's there, he's gonna throw something away to distract the guard and put something in place, a device which in a flashback was revealed that it was handed to him by Ryan to help him turn off the chain link and maybe play with the CCTV.
Oh, fine. Okay. So just so I'm clear, you've gone down these kind of metal stairs down to the sewers stroke mine entrance. Let's get you there, because I think that's not going to be at this end of the tunnel. That's going to be at the factory end of the tunnel. So that's the bit of coordination we're after. So I need to get you to the factory. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So down you go down this spiral staircase into the bowels. And come out into a tunnel, and you can see, because low lights or torch, you tell me, but there are, I think you can see light bulbs strung along the ceiling. Do you turn the lights on, or do you have a torch or low lights with you?
I think I would have a night vision goggles.
Fine. Well, if you would mark that up on your equipment list, I think you will find low light binoculars or something similar in the list.
low light goggles.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great, because now we have we already know that he's got the many pocketed equipment vest, and now it's flipping down, everything goes green, and you'll make your way down this sewer to where it intersects with the old mine tunnels, and I think this is where we see that there's a kind of, it must have been used to get miners across this chasm. It's a cage, probably about 10 feet by 10 feet, 3 meters square. And there's a kind of hand cranked, way to get it across this chasm that you described earlier. And there you are on the edge of the chasm, and the cage is over there. And over there is the only place that you can control where the cage is. So what do we see, as if I don't know, what do we see Ameer doing?
So what Ameer is going to do is first throw a grapple to reach some metal beams higher up. And then from there, he's going to just trying to picture what's the best mean to do that. Yeah, he's gonna that thing. This kind of I guess what's the word? This cage,
It's
which
some
is
kind of winch or something, I guess.
Yeah. He's gonna throw his grapple to it, and it's gonna follow it, and when it's in place, he's gonna wait a little so people are aware, and then he will zip line along it.
Okay, so if you would now add tools to your equipment list and mark 2 equipment boxes for your zip line and similar equipment, there's more in it than that. So if you need any kind of tool, you have it. And yeah, I think we see you kind of climb up the metal supports at this side, and attach yourself to the cable and zip across to land elegantly, we hope, on top of the cage on the other side of the chasm. So I think this is rolling to do something else. You have the right tool, yeah. And I guess you have intrusion, which is the right skill set. So you're rolling orange, white, and gray. Do you want to add the stress dice?
No stress die.
Okay, so just select those 3 dice and re-roll selected.
Okay, so that's a 4 expertise, a 3 white, and a 5 right tool.
We take the best result, which is 5, which shows you landing lightly and elegantly. I think probably just for dramatic effect, the cage will sway. And maybe back at the far end, we see one of the cables maybe just fray a little bit, just for effect. And you bounce lightly down to the ground and follow the tunnel on the way. And I think probably, because you're using low light, they're putting the lights on and then turning them off at intervals. So I think you will just see a guy turn a light off on the next set of bit of the tunnel. And you might even be able to hear some of them speaking, yeah? So you're following them through there. And that's where you can see that they're, I'm struggling a bit. I don't think you're going to be able to turn those cameras off until you're inside the building.
Okay.
And that, I think that's pushing it a bit. So I think
anything which helps the group to join me in there.
Yeah. No, well, you have complete confidence that by now they'll be through the wire. I think probably in terms of skill set, this is Harry's intrusion, isn't it?
Yes, I think it probably is Harry's intrusion. I'm going to lead us, I think, through the gaps in the patrols, and get straight in through into I think we're going to follow Ameer in. He's basically like secured us a route in with this.
Just so I'm clear, he went in.
Right.
He's on there. Yeah, he's gone down and under. You're about to go through the wire here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my big question is, guys, do you want to take out the patrols or do you want to just go in? Should we just go in?
I turn to you and say, I want to head straight for that door, and you better be coming with me.
No. All right, then. Well, we'll leave these guys for later, then.
So, Harry, I'm assuming this is when your breaking and entering kit will be added to your your equipment load, and that will give you the right tools to do this with. So we see, the patrols moving. We see them, clearing a corner, and then there's a window of time before the next lot comes around that top corner. Snip, 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 snip.
And that's a 4.
That is success without a problem. So you make your way. You have got through the fence. The cameras, you're in the blind spot. The guards don't see you. And I think we cut to the 3 of you, flattened against the wall of the factory. The blizzard is obscuring the view. The door is round the corner. And I think Harry looks at Azul.
Yep. I take the look. And I motion that we're going through that door and we need to remain silent. I'll be going in first with my knives, which I have strapped to my chest. It says several knives.
Now, just in terms of some of those tags, intimate or close means that you can get in close, intimate, or you can throw them at someone across the room.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I
So you are at the door, Azul.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Harry is behind you, and Ryan is coming in third, unless Ryan tells me different.
Yeah, that's what I've motioned for.
Is that okay, Ryan?
That's fine. I was just going to say, at the same time as Azul is prepared to go through the door, Ryan's going to see what the nearest cell phone signal is to that door and just message them a dirty picture from an unknown number. So hopefully that focuses on their phone, not on the door when we go through.
Excellent.
So Ryan, is this your last question for having owned the local phone network? What does the man do when the dirty picture arrives?
I would imagine that it is, yeah.
Okay, so you get rid of that question that remains on the operation tab, just so I know you've used it up. And I think what you see is the dot on that cell phone, representing that cell phone next to the door, moving across the space behind to alongside another phone as he goes to show his friend. So Azul, what do you do?
Busting down the door, throwing a knife and running at the other one with my other knife.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap all of this up into a move called confront the conspiracy or its pawns. Yeah. So you are not surprised. You are not trying to avoid or hide from the threat. You are trying to fight or shoot at a threat. What would success look like? And this is injure, subdue, drive off. How are you hoping this is going to end?
As in, sorry, this current scenario or the whole thing?
This particular, what you just set in motion.
So door opening, the guards being shocked, quite unbelieved, successfully throwing a knife and wounding one of them, and running along with my other one, jumping off some furniture probably, at sort of both of them, but the other one aiming for the neck with my knife. And
the object here is to kill.
Yes.
Fine. Okay. Well, you're rolling the white dice. I think that you have hand to hand here, so you're rolling with expertise. You have chosen the right tool for the job, so you're rolling 3 dice. I simply have to ask if you want to include the stress dice.
I might. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Now, depending on how well this goes, it is possible that the second target could be a threat. So this is why you are also going to roll the dice that is labeled failure 1.
Okay.
This is how well they do compared to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're rolling
go.
all 4 of your dice and 1 of theirs.
Yeah. Okay. Got 2 on the white, 4 on the expertise, 1 on the stress, 1 on the right tool, 3 on the failure.
Okay. Now, what's good about this is that you rolled higher than the failure dice. Yeah.
They rolled 3. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I get mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you succeed.
Excellent.
Right? You succeed. So what you described happens. And it happens so efficiently that as I think the second guy is, we see his little submachine gun coming up. Oh, it's probably an AK, isn't it? They're in such large numbers. So as the AK-47 comes up, you're on him and he goes down in a bloody heap. Yeah?
Excellent.
No shots fired, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then Harry and Ryan come in. Ryan, how used are you to getting up close and personal to bloody violence?
Not very much at all yet.
Yeah, that's the sense I got. I think I need you to roll for stress, please. So would
Okay.
you roll the green stress dice? If it is 3 or more, your stress will increase by 1.
Yes, that would be a 5, unfortunately.
Okay, so increase stress by 1, and probably we see you saying to Harry, look, did you see what he did? Did you see what he did?
Mind your step, lads. Mind your step.
Oh, that was so fast. That was so you hit them so hard, so fast, so clean. That was really cool. Well done,
Just
Anthony. That was
wiping
incredible.
knives off on my sleeves.
You can buy him dinner later, Ryan.
So you're in a kind of room, and there are a couple of doors off this room. 2 of the doors are marked, male and female toilets, and there is a door into the factory. So that's your choices in a moment. Let me cut to Ameer. Ameer, because if we were doing this in 1970s style, we'll now have a split screen, which is showing Ameer doing stuff while the rest of the team are doing stuff. So Ameer, you can see they've made their way through the old mine workings back into a length of sewer that they've, somebody has just hacked together to create a single route. And we see you looking around a corner, and they're just before he turns the lights out, you can see that they're in a corridor with a number of doors and a set of stairs going up, and they've passed those doors and they're on their way up the stairs, presumably back up to the kind of factory level. Yeah. So what do we see Ameer doing?
I was wondering if for the others to catch up with me, should I send back to them? So there doesn't seem to be someone around. Could I operate the cage to get them to where I am?
I don't think you need to do that at this point. You are in the basement level of the factory.
Okay.
And they have just come in the front door of the factory upstairs. So you are both on the threshold of the factory.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're not using that lower entrance. They've come in at ground level. Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing a pincer movement.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure that was entirely the plan, but that's appeared to be where.
Of course, there was a plan.
Of course.
There's a flashback where with me saying, and that's the way we do a pincer movement, and that's at the end of the flashback.
Yeah.
Okay. And so yeah, you've got some doors in this basement level, and you've got these stairs up to the main level. So what's your choice, Ameer? Doors or staircase?
Okay. There's a flashback of me with my arm lock with the guy against the concrete wall, and I say, okay, there's a few doors and a lift. What do I take from there?
And what he said was, don't open the doors.
All right, lift it is. And,
Okay.
and as Amir passed by the door, he's having a nervous look towards them and trying to. He's not spending time there, but he's kind of trying to hear or see if there's light under the door or something. He's a bit curious, but he doesn't spare time doing that.
Don't open the door, Amir, but listen at it. So I think that is roll to investigate, Amir. And this is intrusion or investigate. So you have expertise. I don't think there's a tool unless you want to,
No, but I think I can take some stress for that. I think it's narratively appropriate.
I think so. So 3 dice, reroll selected.
All right. So my biggest is my expertise. It's a 5.
That's all that matters, really. What you can do is you can ask me a question. I will tell you that you do hear movement. It could just be someone shuffling about in there, just shuffling feet. I'll tell you that for nothing. You can ask me a question, though.
Okay, my question would be, how easy does it seem to control the opening of those doors? I mean, does it look like someone could push a button somewhere and then the door opens and release whatever is in there, or do someone needs to come up and open them manually?
What would you like the answer to that question to be?
Dramatically a button, but in the interest of the characters, I'd say there's a big padlock and it takes time to open.
Let's make it simpler. The padlock. There are 2 bolts on each of these doors. Yeah, so you just have to bolt at the top, bolt at the bottom, and they will open towards you.
Okay, so yeah.
So we've used up the last question you had from your interrogation earlier, the sadly overdosed mafia goon, and you are at the bottom of the staircase that goes up to the ground floor level. Yeah, they've gone up there, and meanwhile the rest of the team are at a door beyond which what appears to be most of the, all the rest of the cell phones that you can account for, Ryan. It's possible there are people in there that don't have a cell phone, but that is what you see. Yeah. And they seem to be, standing about, is all I can tell you. So that's the best intel you have. Azul, Harry, Ryan. Who does what? That looked like Ryan was about to say something, so I'm just going to let him say something first.
I have an idea. I don't know if it'll work at all, but if it looks like there's a bit of a choke area, these guys have to come out. Then maybe using my tablet, send a text randomly to one of them inside from one of the numbers that we saw leave. Coming in hot, needs support outside in Hungarian.
Oh, right. Yeah. Probably Russian, to be honest.
Russian,
yeah, given that they're a Russian mafia operation. Okay, so your intention here is to get them to come out through the door you are standing by.
Basically to allow Azul and Harry to set up a nice little ambush to catch them all in automatic fire.
As much as I love an ambush, I would probably suggest that if they're going to come out, oh no, wait, the bodies are there. I was going to say let them run through and then we can just go in. But there's bodies there with blood.
There are.
If we're going to get these people out, we have to take out these guys, right? Because there's no way we can get them past 4 guys with guns without taking those guys out. So,
okay.
At some point we have to, I think we flash back to scenes of exactly this argument with Harry and Azul of like, listen, we're going to have to get our hands dirty. If you want to save these people, it's going to take killing some more,
You'll see blood drawn.
Oh, we've already seen blood drawn.
This is in the flashback, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that the plan?
Yeah, I like that plan.
Yeah. So this is Ryan using his digital intrusion techniques to
Mhm.
draw them out. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think this is rolling to do something else with expertise. I'm going to keep giving you the right tool because you've got, you had the Hungarian telecom company's kit working for you on a tower nearby. So you're rolling 3 dice. Would you like to include your stress dice, Ryan?
I think now is the time.
Wow, brave man. 4 dice. Roll them.
5 on the expertise is my highest.
Oh, and you can't help feeling that's disappointing. Somehow I was hoping the stress dice was to come through for me. So that is success. So Ryan, we're looking over Ryan's shoulder. We're seeing the text sent. We're seeing the dots on his, outline map of the factory. And, half a dozen guys are heading towards the door into the room in which you are. What happens, Harry, when they come through the door?
I think that's when we light up, right? I guess I will have I think a compact SMG seems like Harry's style.
Okay, so mark up 2 equipment boxes. That most of that is replacement magazines rather than the gun itself. What are you sticking with the knives, Azul, or are you?
No, I picked up the
broadening
weapons
option?
off the fallen guards.
Okay, so select assault rifle.
Yeah, sorry. As I think, as it's a narrow corridor, I think that'll be enough.
Okay, so are you selecting that on your list? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I think with the knives plus an assault rifle, which I think is 2, so you've used up 3 of your available 5 equipment slots, yeah?
Right, okay. So even though I've just picked it up, though?
It's still you, isn't it? It's still what you're carrying.
Okay.
So you can always drop stuff, but you can't really just keep trading weapons indefinitely.
Fair.
Yeah. So Mark 3, so that takes you up to the top end of light. Let me start with Harry. You are going, and we'll take. Oh gosh, time has flown by. I'm sorry, I was going to take a break 20 minutes ago. Let's deal with this, and then we'll take a break. Harry, fight or shoot objective. Put as many down as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you are rolling with the white dice. You have the necessary expertise in small arms. Weapons don't really count as a light tool. They're an enabler. So you're rolling 2 dice unless you include stress.
Even though it's an area weapon?
That will allow you to take more than one of them at a time.
Okay, sure. I will include the stress then. And that's a 5 on the stress dice.
Okay, so stress is going to go up by 1. But you do take down 3 of them with a very neat series of kind of...
Yeah.
They come through the door, leaving Azul to confront the remaining 3 coming through the door with a slightly louder and less sophisticated... So Azul, you will be rolling the white dice, the orange dice for expertise, and do you want to include the stress dice?
Go on.
Yeah. Okay, so select those 3 dice and re-roll selected. It is another area effect weapon, so you can take all 3 of these goons if you get it right.
So expertise is 4. Is my highest.
Okay, 4 or 5, it works as planned. We see 3 of them stumble through the door, and you're standing behind Harry, firing over his shoulder, and those 3 come into the room. Just as they see you, they're beginning to draw weapons, and you take them down. I am, though, going to mark both alarmed boxes, because I think it's pretty clear now that there is a significant threat on site. Yeah? Ameer, you will hear some commotion at the top of the staircase up to the factory the main level of the factory. And you can probably hear the different sounds, the distant sound of automatic fire. That is where we will take a break. Shall we be back in our seats on the hour?
Yep.
Cool.
See you then.
Ciao.
And
We
the contacts
lost.
are working pretty well.
Yeah, they're not bad. I'm making them free more often. I just realised I forgot to stop the recording, but there you go. Better than not started. Who have we lost?
Callum.
Ah, there he is.
Have we lost? Oh, there we go.
We were worried for a moment then. Okay. So that was the point, I think, at which we've got the automatic fire. We've got Harry and Ryan and Azul up at the ground floor. We have Ameer down in the basement operating the pincer. Ameer, as I say, you hear this firing upstairs. You hear shouts in Russian. What do? Up there, you know there to be 20 or 30 victims and a couple of guys who came in with them.
Okay. Well, the scene is probably one of a couple of those guys who are upstairs next to the lift. They're like shouting in foreign language. What's going on up there? And as they finish their sentence, the lift goes ding, sort of behind them, and the doors open, and the lift is empty. And the plan is that they enter the lift and Ameer neutralize them. But let's see. Let's find out how it works.
I think that looks good. Yes. So So I think this is confront the conspiracy or its pawns. It's too dramatically necessary for them to do anything but to step into the lift. And where is Ameer when they step into the lift?
Well, he was in the ceiling, of course. So he appears like hanging by the legs, and he stabs the both of them with knives.
Okay, well, select knives and add them to your kit, your list of gear, and let's see how that goes. I think there is a possibility, because there's more than one of them, that they may get to you. One of them may have a chance to hurt you. So what I want you to do then, I think, is that you're with expertise. I don't think there's a right tool for this. Weapons just enable you to attack them. Do you want to include the stress dice? You will be rolling the failure 1 dice.
Yes, I will include the stress. So plus the failure 1. So I'm rolling. Whew. Okay. So the stress is the biggest with a 5.
Okay, well, unsurprisingly, in the circumstances, stress increases by 1. But their failure dice is 1 compared to your higher dice rolls. So you neutralize them before they can do any harm to you. But I think probably, for dramatic intent, we will see as they fall bleeding from the neck wounds that you've inflicted, or inevitably the automatic machine guns will kind of and fire a set of blow a set of holes in the side of the lift. And then the innocent victims who were outside the lift start screaming because all hell is breaking loose. And I guess, what do we see Harry and, well, I think I'll go to Azul first, because I have a suspicion he may be at the sharp end. Azul, you've taken these guys down as they come out of the main floor of the factory. What do you do?
If the alarms are going off,
well, you can hear screaming
and screaming and other gunshot that isn't us.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just running in.
Ameer,
So-
do we hear you saying anything over the comms, just to make them know that it is you in there?
Ameer?
Missed that. Yeah. Just say everything is going according to plan.
Of course
Okay.
it is.
Well,
The
I hear
fuck-
screaming.
The Falcon has landed. For the French accent, the Falcon has landed.
Well, I heard the screaming, and that has sort of triggered me. So I'm running in. I want to find out what's happening, who's under duress, and I guess so. Through into the next room. Can I see this?
Well, I think that what you're saying to me is that you're checking before you start firing.
Yes, I am.
Fine. So I think that is a role to investigate.
Yes.
And again, I think I will give Larceny the necessary expertise to spot what's going on. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you are rolling with expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice? Because so far you have been Mr. Cool,
Yeah.
lean, mean, killing machine.
I think my my run of luck with the stress dice might falter. I don't think I can keep rolling with it, so I'm not going to use the stress dice
Okay.
and just see how this goes. I got a 5.
Which gives you a question to ask me. I will tell you that inside this large space, which might look something like the space you can see behind me, but probably not with those skylights. Although it's artificially lit. I think what you will see is a number of chain link fences, chain link cages.
Again.
More
Yeah.
chain link cages in which you can see victims.
Mhm.
I think you will see some of the remaining guards. There are probably a handful of them left, small handful of them left, are located on the gantries that you can see over my shoulder, overlooking this floor. And you can
Sorry,
see.
am I above or on the same
You're
floor?
you're on the ground floor. You've
Ground
come in
floor.
at this level.
Yeah.
So you're looking up at them. The cages are in the middle of this room, this space, and you can see a kind of industrial lift at the back of behind me, which you might say is maybe that there, which has just opened, and all you can see is chaos as 20 or 30 civilians are now running around like headless chickens, looking for cover because all hell has broken loose. There's been machine gun fire behind them, shots fired in front of them. They've realized that the two people who brought them here are dead in the lift. What do you do, Azul? Well, no, you've had a look. Harry, what do you do?
I swear as Azul runs off, I look over at Ryan and I say, look, lad, it's up to us now to deal with those guards outside, right?
Us?
Yeah. Come on. Look sharp.
Okay. I'll check the location of the patrols on my tablet.
Oh, that's interesting. Because what Ryan will see, having now looked at his tablet for the first time in 5 minutes, is two of the cell phones are heading towards the gate in the chain link. And the other patrols, so let's say there's another pair out there, they are coming around towards the gate in the chain link. And a handful of additional phone signals have appeared on the edge of your map, Ryan. At the pace at which they're moving, it looks like a vehicle is driving up towards the gate in the chain link.
Might be a good time for those claymores you picked up before we came.
Do you want to call in a contact, Ryan?
I feel like Ryan uses engineering tools and devices. I think that might include something explosive.
Remember that you didn't choose, as a benefit of your safe house, heavy weapons. So if you want something with a heavy tag, you will have to spend stress for a flashback to get it.
Yep. Well, you said that all of these groups are converging on one place.
They
right?
are. They are.
Excellent.
Be a drone strike even.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Flashback to me meeting a young woman outside the nearest military base, Hungarian military base.
Well, I think actually, I mean, an example in the rule says you don't have the firepower to confront the conspiracy. Mark stress to cut to a drone pilot Gene live feed.
There you go.
So yeah, no, absolutely. You spend stress for that. Add Gene to your contact list as a bang and burner. I think probably what we do see now is we've seen this this on your tablet, and we cut to the drone view. Yeah.
Yep.
And the drone is coming up down over the hills that we described to the north of this. We can see the tree line where you were. We can see the factory building, and we can see two vehicles coming towards the chain link fence to the factory. The drone is coming down, and we see some crosshairs, and then cut to Gene's finger on the joystick, click. I think that gives you the tool to do it, but this does come down to how well you roll, Ryan. So,
okay.
So you have Gene's expertise at your disposal.
Yep.
You have the right tool for the job. So you are rolling orange, white, and gray. Would you like to include your stress dice to make it almost impossible this could fail?
I don't believe that at all. I've played RPGs for far too long to believe that. But I do think that Ryan is a little bit stressed at the moment, and it is
he is
very appropriate for.
The risk is your stress could go from 4 to 5.
Fortunately, I rolled 2 6s on my right tool and my normal dice.
Well, that goes beautifully. So normally, I would only let you take out one of these vehicles with this drone strike, but describe to me how the precision of Gene's attack takes down both vehicles.
I feel like the drone strike just hits just as the front vehicle is stopping at the gate for it to open. The drone strike hits the bonnet of the second vehicle and flips it over on top of the first one.
If you weren't going to say it, I was going to.
Yeah, that is appropriately action hero techno thriller possible, and so both vehicles go up in a, and you will see not just the cell phones in the vehicles disappear from your readout. You will see 2 of the cell phones, the 2 guys who got to the gate, are blown up as the gate is blown in as well. Yeah, because that was such a good success.
Right. Harry, last 2 are yours.
You did the roll a 6 there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And if you roll a 6, it says, but say what reminds you of the horror of the war you're waging. Or in this case, I'd suggest you might want to ask me to do so.
I think that possibly, yes, you
because I think probably we see you and Harry at the door watching the carnage as a figure emerges from the fireball, burning, kneels in the snow and just stops the fire, and then stands and begins to walk towards the building.
Is it not still daytime?
Happily, the blizzard is obscuring the direct sunlight.
Okay.
So, Ryan, would you roll for stress, please?
Certainly.
If you roll a 6, if you roll 5 or 6, that stress will increase to 5, and I will suggest to you that you need to look at Seek Relief from the Horror.
I rolled a 2, fortunately.
That's all good then.
I believe allows me to clap Harry on the back and go, that one's yours.
So that's happening outside. Ameer, chaos in front of you. These people are running around. You can see from a different angle what Azul saw from the front of this room, this space. What are you going to do, Ameer?
I'm gonna pick the weapons from the guard's list and hand them to the closest prisoners, and yell, "Back here to evacuate you."
You broke up a bit there, Callum.
Okay.
But I think what I think I'm hearing is you are trying to convince these people to take their fate into their own hands.
Yeah, by handing them weapon and convincing them to. So the closest way is back to the lift and through the way I came, or is it shorter
Certainly,
to go through the gate?
that would seem logical. But you are going to have to calm them down first,
Of course,
because
yeah.
they are panicked. So you are rolling the white dice. I'm just looking at your expertise. I'm not seeing intimidate or convince or negotiate. So currently you are just rolling the white dice.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to include the stress dice to improve your chance of success?
So, just trying to think if there could be a tool for me to help
I'll
me
be honest with you, I'm struggling. I'm
I
just
don't think
seeing, brutalized civilians.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the stress die.
Okay, so you're rolling the white dice and the green dice.
Yep.
Reroll selected.
2 and 2.
Oh, okay. So the stress dice is equal to the other dice.
It's equal to my. Oh, it's under my level of stress.
No, that doesn't matter on this. If you include it in the dice pool, if it's equal to or higher than, stress goes up. Yeah. If something horrific happens and you roll for stress, that's where it needs to exceed. Yeah. So there are 2 ways for it to go up. So stress goes up to how many now? 3, 4?
So the stress goes up 4 then.
Oh, right. So I will say to all of you again, don't forget Seek Relief from the Horror. Because you rolled 1 to 3, I will also mark the heat clock. And I think what Harry will see is the burning figure who's now doused himself in snow and stopped the flames, walks up to the 2 men who are running towards him, and bites the neck out of one of them. And as you watch through the blizzards, you can see some of the burns being recovered. Harry, would you roll for stress, please?
I think. That's a 1, so my stress does not go up.
There is nothing Harry has not seen before.
Yeah, I think as Ryan pats him on the back and is like, "That's all yours," then we see that him like eviscerate that guy, and I go, "Yeah, let's find Azul."
Ameer, you roll 1 to 3, as well as the heat clock going up. It says if you fail or succeed at cost or after a hard choice. I think that the cost is that you will need to get out of the lift among these people and start slapping them around the face, and you become a target for the guys on the gantry.
Sounds great.
Okay, fine. So would you roll to confront the conspiracy and its pawns? But really, you can't hurt them, only they can hurt you. So this is simply a question of you rolling the white dice and then and also rolling the failure 1 dice.
Okay, so oops. So I think what happened also is that from my inventory, my it doesn't include anymore my engineering tool because I left the zip line behind me. But I did pick up one of the assault rifles from the guards.
Okay, I don't mind that. You can add 2 more. I'm just checking in. Nick, you're not marking your equipment. I'm going to mark off 3 of your boxes.
Oh, did I not? Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine, Azul. You're picking up a rifle, talking to these people, but still they have a freebie at you. Yeah. So you will calm these people down, but you take a risk. So roll the white dice and the pink failure 1 dice. Tell me what you get.
Do I have the right tool because I've got the assault rifle to protect myself?
No. This is simply the fact that you've made yourself vulnerable.
Okay. So that's 4 on the failure and 2 on the white die.
Okay, so the failure is higher. So what it says is, if the failure dice equals or is greater than your highest roll, roll 1d6 for consequences, plus 3 if they are mooks. These are mooks, so you roll the white dice and you add 3 to it. So you are looking for a high number.
So 1 plus 3, so that's 4.
4 plus. You were lucky this time. It hurts, but you'll live. So now they are in a position to fire on you, as I think that the people that came up in this lift are now crowding back into it, and I'm imagining it's one of these kind of industrial loading lifts. They can all get in there, and I'll come back in a moment to ask you whether you're going with them, Ameer. Azul, you got a picture of what was going on. You see all this unfold. Where the fuck is Harry? He was supposed to come in here after you. So you're on your own in here with some guys on the gantry. What do we see you doing? And victims in these cages.
Whilst this has been happening, I've seen Ameer try and get some of them out. I realized that if I try to free these people in the cages, I'll be seen. So I start heading towards them whilst they're distracted. So underneath their gangway. Is there just one stairs going up to it, or
there is one set?
One set of stairs?
There is one set of stairs going up to it.
Okay, so I'm.
And sorry, also up there is one of these kind of glass-sided offices above the floor of the
So, if I were to get to the top of the stairs, would it be them and then the office, or the office then them?
Them and then the office.
Okay. I stealthily sneak up these stairs, and I set my Molotov alight, and I throw it straight at the group.
Okay. Well, I think
start shooting.
Okay. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll use the failure dice to judge whether your approach is stealthy enough. Okay. But we'll treat it as a confront. Yeah. So that's the white dice. You have the expertise, and you're sacrificing the drink, which otherwise might allow you to seek relief from the horror. So I think that is the right tool. Do you want to include the stress dice?
Yeah, we'll go for it.
Because you are Mr. Cool.
Yeah.
So you're rolling all 4 dice plus the pink dice.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oof, 6 on the white, 3 on the failure, 1 on the stress.
Oh, well, that's just fine.
So cool.
So I think I'm going to see 2 of these guys go up burning. And inevitable, I think, once they start burning, they will fall off the gantry down onto the floor, which means that, Ameer, you are no longer under surveillance from those guys on the gantry. Ryan, what are you doing?
I mean, Harry just directed me. We need to get back to Azul. We need some backup for this thing. So I am going to hoof it in his direction. Trust that Harry's watching my back.
Okay. And I think probably the last thing that Harry sees, we see Ryan running the way Azul has gone. and Harry following with one look over his shoulder as we see this vampire scent the air and begin to race towards you. Yeah. So I think now you are all on the factory floor with some people going down in the lift, following Ameer's instruction to go
I'm
back
at the top
the way.
of the stairs.
Oh, you are.
Right,
Sorry,
yeah.
you are. I beg your pardon. With an office at the end of this gantry, and the flames will die out when they fall off. We've got Ameer having sent these people back down into the basement and told them, go back the way you came. Yeah. But you still have another 20 or 30 people in these 2 or 3 cages on the factory floor, and another couple of cages that were empty, which is where the new ones would be stored. Yeah. Ryan, you come in, you see all this. What do you do?
So Ryan's really the support tech guy of the group.
Yeah, he's used that excuse before. What does he do?
Yes, he has. Yes. I mean, Azul's up there. He's got a gun. Ameer's got a gun over there. Harry's got his back. Obviously, the place that Ryan can do the best, the most good, is if he can get to that office and make sure that we get something out of this.
Fine. So you're racing up the steps to where Azul is and going past him towards the office.
Yeah.
Ameer, what are you doing? Well, first of all, let me ask Harry, what comes over Ameer's earphone?
Fucking coming in hot, fucking coming in hot. Come on, get the fucking grenades. And then just like, oh shit, thud kind of thing as something collides behind him.
So Ameer, based on that very detailed sit rep, what are you going to do?
So I think as the lift is going down, Ameer is not in the lift. He let the prisoners go in it. He's crouched with his back against a few crates, barrels, like you find in any good video game or action movie. And what he's doing is sort of reviewing quickly, doing the routine with the assault rifle he picked up, the AK-47. And what I want to do is actually, what is it called? Seek relief from the horror. And what I want to do is it's a flashback of Ameer as a child on the knees of his father. What is it called again? His anchor. Showing him how you dismantle an AK-47 and you reassemble it, and just bringing up this memory sort of helps him.
The sort of childhood memory that the audience will empathize with. Stripping, after school today, I stripped an AK-47. So yeah, that's absolutely hitting. If you say something new about your relationship with your anchor, reduce stress by 1 and roll a d6.
Four.
So on a 4, 1 plus, your father is now added to the conspiracy hit list. I will mark him as on the run ? And I think we probably a little cut scene of your father going about his business in Budapest or wherever we decided that he was living at the moment.
Budapest, yeah.
And discreetly being followed. But your stress has gone down by 1. It has to be worth a father. Let's consider Harry, what do you do when you run into the factory floor? Because this thing is not far behind you.
So, Azul's shooting away, right? And I think as I run in, I'm like, scream that it's right behind me, and then you probably say something about like, we've got to get these people out of here, right? Because like otherwise Harry would just blitz right past, and then I think he'll look, shit, turn around, and he's going to slam up against that door and try and hold it back. And what he's
Hold
going
the
to do,
door closed with his
Yeah.
body.
yeah, but what we're going to do is I'm going to flash back to my contact, my anchor, Kasha, and I think Harry goes to her grandmother's funeral, and I'm hoping I can also say, and takes a holy symbol from.
Let's do the flashback. We'll worry about
Yeah.
equipment. Equipment, a holy symbol is always on the cards. You know that.
Oh, is it just a?
It's neither heavy weapons, automatic weapons, nor anything else. I got no problem with having having a symbol. So the only reason you reduce stress by 1, the only reason I need you to roll the dice is to see whether you reduce stress by 2. So what do you roll?
I rolled a 2.
Okay, so your stress has been reduced by 1, but Kasha is now on the hit list as well. And we see a shady-looking gentleman getting a drink from her and then following her home from the club.
He's in Budapest too, so actually the person having offering a drink was a person tailing my father. So my father is seated at the bar where she's serving, and that guy enters.
Spot on. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yes. So eyes on potential victims going forward. So Azul is up on the gantry. Ryan has just got to the office. Harry has thrown himself against the door, hoping to keep the vamp out. And Ameer has had a little moment about field stripping an AK-47 at the far end of the building. What are you going to do, Ameer? Because there's not a lot Harry can do until ...
Amir is gonna shoot the lights where he is, then use his night goggles to shoot the people who are shooting at him.
Oh, there's nobody shooting now. Azul took out the 2 guys on the gantry.
Oh, okay, they were the one. Okay, sorry.
They went up in the alcohol fire.
Excuse me.
Okay.
We do still have a room full of prisoners, like in cages and stuff. I don't.
Okay. Well, I will head there, and ideally, I'd like to find a guard to interrogate on my way.
I'm afraid
I'm going through.
You very efficiently taken out all the goons.
Okay,
or
so then
sent some of them on a wild goose chase.
Okay, so then what I will do is I will release the people in the cells, but when I do so, I show them my pendant with the picture of my mother, and I ask them if they've seen that person.
Oh yes, oh very nice. Yeah, very nice. So yes. Therefore, Azul, are you staying on that gantry?
I'm looking after the rookie.
Okay. The rookie's in the office, sat at a computer. Yeah, and we'll worry about what comes out of that in a minute. Harry, you're leaning against the door, and there's a kind of boom. Would you roll to do something else to keep this closed?
Sure. Hand to hand? No. Well, can I use the holy symbol, the symbol of faith, to try and hold this vampire back in some? Because I don't think I'm really keeping him outside the door so much as just holding him back at this point.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to have the right tool, essentially.
Well, I think that the right. I tell you what, the right tool to keep this door closed might be the wedge in your breaking and entering kit.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, I shove the crowbar from my breaking and entering kit straight through the the ridiculous handle kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's you and a crowbar against a vampire. So I think this is right tool, white dice. Do you include a stress dice?
Yes.
Go for it.
Do I roll any failure dice?
No, because this is to keep it out.
Okay. Sure. You know what? Then I won't roll the stress dice.
Okay.
I'm kind of interested in what happens if the vampire comes into the room.
So am I.
But I get a 6 on my white dice, so you know.
So you have kept him out. You have time. Yeah, you bought some time. What are you going to do with that bought time, Harry?
I am buying time for the prisoners to mostly get to safety, like away kind of thing, and to have
Okay.
it be us remaining to face this vampire.
Okay. So what I'm seeing is you running to one of the other cages, and as Ameer is kind of shuffling them towards the lift. Have you seen this woman? Have you seen this woman? You're now, breaking the lock on another cage and getting them out as well. Ryan, you're at the computer. What's the plan? You are muted.
I'm going to take a moment to very quickly check the desk drawers, the edge of the monitor, the usual spots to make sure there's a post-it with the password on it within reach. And then I'm going to try and get into the computer.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really dull if Ryan got this far and found, the boss's mother's maiden name. So I think that what we see is you rolling with expertise for your digital intrusion. You didn't select tech tools, did you? So we need another flashback if you wanted to come up with some snazzy hacking gear.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I've got my tablet anyway.
You have, but I think that's an enabler, not a kind of advantage.
Gotcha. I do, yeah, I think we'll have the flashback then, because I really don't think Ryan would have gone into the situation without some ability to...
Yeah, and this is an exchange of a memory stick with some high-class hacking software on it, yeah?
Yep.
So who's this that we're... This could be another hacker, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think this is Petra. This is the first time I've ever actually met her in person, but we've spoken online on message boards, swapped tips, swapped programs, etc. for years.
Fine.
And I've convinced her to give me one of her better breaking and entering sort of programs in exchange for some very rare 70s anime that I've managed to get on a memory stick myself.
Very good. Okay. Add her to your list, and that will give you the right tool for the job. So you're rolling 3 dice, 4 if you include your stress dice.
Right. I think I've got the 3 dice. I'll leave the stress off for the moment.
Okay. Go with the 3 dice. I got a 6
on the right tool.
As long as it's a 6, that's all that matters. It goes really well. You're straight in. You're gutting it. You can ask me 2 specific questions and then describe, almost anything you like.
Okay. What really cool, unique weapon does the boss keep in this office as a symbol of pride that might be useful against a vampire?
A set of rosewood stakes and some holy water.
Cool, I'm going to grab those. And I might just keep my other question, if that's all right, for the wrap-up, what information we need from this.
Fine. And that is when Ameer, as you and Harry are struggling with the last lock on the remaining cage, that is when the door splinters and the vamp charges into the room. Azul, I think you from the gantry are probably, you will have seen the door bending inwards and then splintering. So what do you do, Azul?
I've been at the door, sort of like an eye on Ameer, not Ameer.
Ryan,
an eye on Ryan, an eye on the door, like looking back and forth.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Come on, let's go. When he spots the rosewood stakes and the holy water, is there just one set of those each?
There's enough for the boss to use. So I'm going to say that there's holy water and a rosewood stake.
Okay.
Then we don't need to bother about, one of you can have one of you can have the other, conceivably.
Okay. Ryan, which did you pick? You found them.
Ryan's not going to get up close and personal with this thing if he can avoid it. He'll chuck you the rosewood stake.
Cool. So I've got the rosewood stake just on my person. I'm keeping the guns as I'm far away, and I'm lining up my sight straight at the door.
Okay. So you shoot at him as soon as he comes through that door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I will just point you at the heat and risk tab, which on the far end has the various freaks. They have a set of powers that they can use to neutralize your expertise, and they also have a set of weaknesses: compulsions, deterrents, and vulnerabilities. He is not vulnerable to ordinary weapons, so I think for the audience to know that, Azul has to use an ordinary weapon on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will see the bullets, pumping into him. And he staggers back. It slows him down. But then he focuses on Harry, I think. No, on Ameer, because I think Ameer is being more careful about the people. Harry's with you, but he focuses on the pair of you, and a feral grin appears on his face as his fangs come out, and he goes, and then he's coming at you. Ameer, what do you do?
I will wait the last second to jump out of his way and close the door of one of the cells, which was behind me.
Oh, right. So this is Trap the Vampire time.
Yep.
Okay. So that sounds like confront the conspiracy, but you are trying to avoid or hide from the threat or trap the threat. You're not surprised by the threat, so you don't have an option to flee for your life. You can always flee for your life. Just by the by, you can flee for your life.
I mean, I don't know if it would be another action, but I'd like to throw a flashbang in the cell room once it's in there.
Let's get him in there first, shall we? So I think this is roll to do something else. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use his power of the basilisk's gaze to neutralize your expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You catch his eyes because you left it really late, didn't you?
Yeah. So it was really...
So he, you see the red glow in the eyes, and your mind goes blank for a moment. So you're rolling without expertise.
But that sounds something stressful, so I will roll with stress.
So white dice and green dice. Can you get him in there?
Yes. 6 on the white, 5 on the stress.
Wow. At that last moment, you almost faint out of the way, and he charges in, and you jam the thing closed. It's a shame that you had to break the lock to get the people out, but he is in there. So Harry, Ameer has pulled this remarkable stunt. What are you going to do, Harry?
I yell, flashbang!
Harry pops a flashbang and is going to throw it through the door. Like, okay, 1, 2, you let it open for just like an inch and I'll just throw it through.
Remember that these are chain link cages.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just pop it through the chain link.
Yeah. Before it realizes it can just rip straight through the chain link.
Well, there is that. There is that.
Yeah. I will
whilst
do that.
all this flashbang's going on, can I shout to, because no one knows about the holy water apart from me and Ryan, can I shout to Ryan to just chuck his holy water down there?
Yeah.
Ryan can certainly try to throw this vial of holy water into the cage.
We got
Not
Molotov
quite
cocktails as
what I'd
well.
like to. I was thinking more along the lines of trying to jump from the gangway on top of the cage and pouring the water through the open chain links on top of
Oh my goodness me. Action hero Ryan.
it. This is how he
Roll-
does.
Roll
Finally
to
stepping
do
up.
something else. I'm just looking at the skill set. Cryptography, digital intrusion, and engineering tech. I think this is
Bit
probably
of
rolling
engineering.
with the white dice
I think so. And stress. Very definitely
and the
stress.
stress dice. Go for it.
So just so I'm just gonna double check. So I feel like I need to show my work.
Okay, this goes brilliantly, Ryan. Absolutely brilliantly. You land elegantly on the top, and then realize just how high a vampire can jump. And he leaps up towards you, his fingers through the chain link, and he pulls his face up towards you. Just as you do what, Ryan?
Have a drink. Pop the top and pour it straight down his throat as he snaps at me.
Increase your stress by 1. Surprise, surprise. But I cannot, with 15 minutes left to our time, I cannot let that holy water not be the finish of the vampire. Can I? I don't think I can.
I was just going to say maybe it just, and then Azul just leaps into the cage and stake through the heart as it's like hitting on the floor.
Could try and see if I make it.
Well, I mean, I'd love to have you try. Leaping off the gantry. I mean, if only you had Ameer's zip wire now.
I know, I was thinking about that. Sure, I mean, it'll just be comical if it doesn't happen anyway.
Can I have a bungee rope?
Bungee rope. I think I'm full. I'm going to go with the... actually.
I think that the terrible risk here is that once in that cage with a dying vamp and a rosewood stake, you are going to roll both those failure dice, Azul. I will just tell you that now.
I mean, is he still clinging onto the top? Or
Oh no, he dropped once that holy water hit.
Go on. This character disappears forever in 15 minutes. So go big.
And
yeah,
and
I mean,
honest,
I've been running quite hot for a while. I think that it's all just kind of building up.
And your stress, for fuck's sake, is 1.
I know. I'm just so cool.
There is no way that you are not going to shout at Ameer, "Open the door now!"
I grab my stake, go charging down the stairs, screaming my battle cry. Sorry, I got into Dungeons and Dragons there.
So I think you are rolling the white dice, the orange dice. You have the right tool for the job.
And I'm going to do the stress as well.
Would you like to include the stress dice?
Of course.
And because it's a supernatural threat, you are going to roll both failure dice. Azul, will you roll all the dice?
Okay, it's a 4 on the stress and 5 on my highest white roll, and 4 on failure 2 and 3 on failure 1.
Well, that is just remarkable. Describe how you dispatch the vamp, Azul. As I think Ameer slams the door behind you.
I take my time. I fling the gate open, stare at him, and take 2 steps in. Then he slams the door behind me. And I slowly walk up to him. He's writhing in pain, clutching his skin-melting head. And I say, "This is for Kusala." And I grab him up to me, and I run it right through his chest, out through the back, in his heart.
You dusted the vamp.
and I drop him, and I start crying.
We could deal with exfiltration, or we could just cut to epilogues. I'm inclined at that climactic moment to cut to epilogues. So, who wants an epilogue that is really close in time? You know, the immediate aftermath of these events.
Just something very briefly. I think we picked up. Just Ameer is going through the whatever office was there to find stuff, and he finds a VHS tape or a DVD with the name of his mother on it. So he picks it up, and we'll see at the later epilogue what was on the DVD.
Fine. So the next step then is, if not in the immediate aftermath, is anyone wanting their epilogue back in the safe house?
I think I want an epilogue just with the speaking to a contact, maybe Bratko, my Serbian mafia contact, and I'm like, the Lisky Bratva are going to think that this was just the Serbian mafia, like drinking vodka in a bar somewhere and like clinking it and just like, well, now they know not to fuck with you, don't they? And he's like, yes, it was a brilliant plan. And, all the heat as much of the heat as possible from this conspiracy mission is deflected towards another mundane threat kind of thing.
Okay, I will reduce the ongoing heat on the team by 1 for that epilogue. Anybody else in the safe house? Are we having any? I'm just thinking, Ameer, is this where you play the tape? Or is it in Bucharest with your father?
Yeah, it might be my father. We are in a darkened room. There's an old DVD player, an old TV. It's not even a flat screen. It's one of those old TVs, which some of us can remember. I put on the TV, and it shows my mother, a figure in the dark, kind of curled up on herself. It looks like a cell. And when she turns to the camera, actually she's as young as I remember her. And she just jumped at the camera, fangs out, like a horrible monster that she has become a vampire. And my father turns off the TV, and we just hug each other and fade to black.
I would just like to add to that as we see through the window, you hugging him in the flickering light of the television screen, a figure crawls up the wall and looks through the window.
Is it her?
Who knows? Who knows?
It's the photo bomber.
The photo vamp. Yeah. Okay. What about anybody else? Ryan, Adam for Ryan, Nick for Azul. In the safe house, or in the immediate aftermath, or further away?
I'll go with safe house.
Go on.
Actually, no, sorry. Sorry, I'll come back to mine.
Okay. Ryan, in the safe house or further away in time and place? Or place?
I think the safe house. And I think I'll take my other question. What is the next step up this chain?
The next step up the chain is a former, well, still Russian, but former KGB officer called Yuri Arkansky, who is attending a trade conference on behalf of the Russian Finance Ministry next week in Vienna. and he knows something, or they want him or what he knows.
And I think Ryan's epilogue is the other three coming to the big equipment table in the theater, and him laying his tablet down in front of them. So, I hear Vienna's nice this time of year.
Very good, very good, very good. Azul.
So mine will be
on...
immediately after, walking out of the compound, and the bus turns up, and we have to go to our flashback where I can now introduce my contact, which was also going to be Freestyle, the street worker, and a few other street workers, all armed up with just guns and knives and everything they could find. And they step out and say, "What's going on? Didn't even need you. Get on the bus and head off."
The only thing I might add to that is, do they help deal with the civilians who are
yeah, okay.
at the moment
So as we've walked
about
out,
to be set loose in a blizzard wilderness?
I'd say that's better. Yeah, as we've walked out, this bus turns up, and we help the civilians get home. They're looked after.
Okay, I think our game is done, folks. I would like to steal another 5 minutes of your time, if I may, for something called Stars and Wishes, an opportunity for you to just highlight anything that you really enjoyed about the play of another character or anything else, and then actually let's call it Roses and Thorns. Roses for the high points, and any thorns of stuff it would have been better if, or but. Yeah. So I'll go in character keeper order. So I'll start, Will. Any roses?
I think the contacts work really well. I thought it was a great. I like all the way of doing the operations and stuff as well. That's pretty good. And I loved all of our coming up with different solutions for everything, and each character doing roughing up a bartender, or just hacking into the phones all the time, and just straight up murdering those guys with those knives, man, ninja style.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good approach to go to the nearest village and beat up a barman to get information on this secret mafia base. It was delightful.
My guy did not have that many skills, but the ones that he did, he used well.
He made use. Well, okay, Nick. Any roses for you? From you, sorry.
This is my first online game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've only and in role playing games I've only done D&D before.
This is quite a step.
Well, this was amazingly accessible. So thank you very much for that, Alan. I'm happy. I may have seemed a bit lost at times, or I didn't know what was going on, but it was all very still workable and still enjoyable. At no point did I feel lost. I think that's just one massive accolade.
Right. Well, no, thank you for that. I mean, I'm rather pleased you didn't tell me that at the start, or I would have felt significant pressure, my friend. I tell you that for nothing, because I struggle to think of a system or even a concept that is further from D&D than this. So more power to your elbow.
Thoroughly approachable. So yeah, it's I think you've thought of everything without thinking.
And I hope this encourages you to play some more, mechanically lighter, more narrative games, because certainly, I would recommend that. Callum, any roses?
I really liked our system allowed to be really badass and find out the consequences. It's not about whether or not something happened, it's whether or not the outcomes are positive. Just a bit of tone. It's more. I'm playing with Will a bit of Blades in the Dark. Reach it's part of it's a fee rather than an issue. Like Forge in the Dark, I find players are a bit silos. So, they tend to be in silos and separately, naturally. So I always appreciate when we manage to do things more collaboratively and have actions together. And I didn't really plan to end up alone on my side. It was still very fun and cool and then cinematic. But yeah, I just wish I had managed to meet up and do something cooperatively more.
Yeah, no, I to be honest, I was quite surprised when it split 3 and 1. I was expecting a one, almost 1 and 3 the other way, or 2 and 2. Yeah, too true. So yeah, I think there is a risk of that, and I have to say that I'm running a series of this at the moment, and we ran a session on Tuesday where we had one person at dinner with a Saudi prince, one person at a reception watching the target, and one person back at the safe house, monitoring what was going on. And it does require a degree of split screen. I think you're right. I don't know if that's about the genre or anything else. I'm not certain, but there's something about missions that maybe does that. I think you might have a point. And finally, Adam, any roses?
I mean, yeah, everyone else willing to go mano a mano with a vampire. That was pretty cool. Watching Will try and hold a door closed against it. Watching Callum literally bullfightering it into a cage. That was great.
Yes. Yeah. Come and get me. Whoosh.
And
Yeah.
then Nick charging straight into that cage after him with a rosewood stake. That was...
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It is possible to make those freak fights go longer, but I think instinctively my feeling is that once you get there, it ought to be quite kind of explosive and quick rather than dragging on. Okay, let me go back round. Will, thorns.
I don't know. I think the only thorn I can think of is in terms of the who did you work for and what did you do overlap somehow. I don't know. It feels too easy to overlap too much, but then it wasn't really a problem in this one. I don't know. I can only think of that as the only thing that might need any kind of attention, really, because I think the rest of it is working really well. And
yeah, I mean, if you're very strongly feeling I definitely want to be foreign intelligence, then you could end up with a lot of people with tradecraft.
The contacts. I'm not sure if you could just use the free contacts in the intel stage rather than have a free floating one, because it felt as though we had a lot of ways to manage the stress, particularly with the just remove one by putting your anchor on the conspiracy radar, which was really useful because it's just like I could have just kept burning contacts I was going to burn a contact to be like, well, I spoke to a priest and had like this specific bane of vampire.
That as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The balance of that I think needs more playtesting, and certainly we have a burned anchor in the series, and I'm curious how that's going to develop, and how ready people are to put others at the front line. Don't know, but yeah, there's something about playing and balancing that. I take your point. Nick, any thorns?
I mean, struggling to think of one, but possibly because I'm also just new to this as well. I sometimes couldn't figure out exactly where everything was that you were talking about. Not a lot, as in I followed most of it. But then at one point you were updating the safe house with things, and I couldn't tell where that was.
No, fair point. I think sometimes when you play online a lot, you begin to take for granted people's monitoring of the character keeper and flipping between tabs and stuff. So no, that's my bad.
I've just found it now.
But what I would say, Nick, is in your next game, stop the GM, because when those of us who do a lot of this, we do begin to kind of just jump about you know, without taking account of that. I think if I'd known you were so new to online, I might have been. No, I wouldn't have. I'd have forgotten.
Would have ruined the whole thing.
Callum, apart from that kind of the structure of not having enough collaboration, any other thorns you wanna kind of highlight?
No, not really. I mean, at first I thought that Nick actually, I misunderstood what he was saying. But where I was a bit confused at time was the location of all characters physically in the complex. But it's, I mean, I'm a game master, so I'm also an architect. and I know it's very complex. Long story short, it was clear that things were mainly where the story needed things to be, but at some point I wasn't sure which was the shortest way back. But it really wasn't a big issue.
Yeah, I think it's always a bit of a tension, particularly when you've got people in different places. So yeah, I get that, but it's something I need to think more about. And finally, Adam, any thorns?
I think what Callum was saying with the trying to push collaboration a little bit more. So, you know, the best moments are always when you get a group of ideas bouncing off each other. And there may be some sort of ability to support someone else in a role or something. But,
yeah. I suppose the
but
nearest.
No, apart from that, I had a great time.
Oh, good. I think the nearest to that is trying to engage with other player characters when you seek relief from the horror. But I think people are very nervous about that because they know that it has some shitty outcomes. Okay, folks, I'm going to stop the recording. So say goodbye to the internet.